nosh on my balls.
Is that what I said?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. Memories all alone in the moonlight.
Wonderful. I still don't know what that is.
It's from Cats. It's
Yeah.
called Memories.
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 Memories. Cat memories.
I feel like
Suckling at the teat of Broadway.
Cats is a thing I'm just never gonna watch.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah, same.
stupid.
Yeah,
I
it
think
seems stupid
It
to
is
me.
stupid and dumb. All right, hot take. I'm going to give you guys a hot take here.
All right.
I bet you Hamilton is stupid as fuck. Everybody's going nuts over that shit. I'll bet you it's dumb as hell.
I know people who have seen it like 5 times.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not huge on musical theater myself. I don't know
Same.
I don't know how to judge a good one from a bad one.
No.
If I'm being real.
Here's the thing. Are they singing? It's bad. I'm going to say just not good.
Really?
Yeah.
Like no musicals.
Except for...
What about the Blues Brothers?
All right, I'll give you... The Blues Brothers doesn't count. That's more of a...
Are you sure? There's
Yes.
people singing and music takes up a substantial part of the movie.
All right, yeah, but that's different. I that and Fiddler on the Roof. I'll give you a pass to Fiddler on the Roof because I like Tevier.
Oh, wait, Fiddler on the Roof. I barely know her anywhere.
Yada-da-da-da-da.
Boink.
Anyway,
But thank you for giving me a pass to Fiddler on the Roof.
anyway,
On the first date, even.
it's the Dudecast.
It is.
Woo!
This is where we
Yeah.
are.
See, normally I'd be like, did you start recording? But I watched you hit
Yeah, you
record.
watched me.
Normally, when you go one-on-one with another
wrestler.
podcast.
You got 50-50 chance of winning, but we are podcast freaks, and we're not normal. See, in the 3-way cast at the dude table, you got... Never mind.
That's really hard to.
It is. Do on the fly. Yeah.
The menage a dude. Dude à trois.
I recently searched for Youngstown podcasts out of curiosity.
Yeah.
There are like 8 of them that came up. Almost all of them are churches, and we're not on it.
Oh.
You mean to tell me we have to pay taxes?
No, well, what?
Because we're
We're not separation of church and state.
we're not
Get
we're
it?
not a church podcast.
I kind of think this is a church. This is like a temple of farts or something.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Farts.
It's kind of it borders on religious. We meet at the same time weekly to do this thing.
To drink. And
We
have
take we
rituals.
take communion, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
There's some form of a sermon type thing.
Father Burton's sermon.
Herman Merman's favorite sermon.
Cover me in the seed of the prophet.
And the dudes did look skyward and doth verily proclaimed, "We art fucked."
Indeed, we are.
yeah.
And
Yes,
then they
indeed, we are
discusseth
Discusseth?
even.
Did you just take my hosting duties, bro?
No,
No, I don't
true.
fucking care. It doesn't matter.
No.
None of this matters.
it's an example,
Excuse
bro. Hello.
Excuse me.
I felt that one.
Sorry. I was trying very hard to make it so that you didn't.
It felt like a couple of droplets.
Oh,
Grace
sorry.
me.
Really sorry. That was an aggressive sneeze. Morty.
We have not been
Morty.
at this table in like at least 2 weeks.
I got to plug
Yeah.
in, Morty.
There's a reason for that.
We haven't talked about
Yes,
that on the
we
show.
have.
We haven't talked about that
Holy
yet.
shit, you're right. We haven't talked about it on the
Let's
show.
go. So, Ben, tell us why we haven't been here.
I'm engaged, motherfucker.
Yeah.
We went.
Why that's the reaction.
Slam's getting hitched.
Aubrey and I went to Chicago, and I fucking proposed to her on the sky deck of the Sears Tower, the Willis Tower.
So we've known about this for a long time, but for obvious reasons, we can't talk about it on the show.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't keep my big mouth shut. So these guys have known for like a long time. And when I finally proposed, Aubrey like didn't really have many people to tell.
Oh yeah, right.
I felt so bad. I'm sorry. I can't keep my mouth. I couldn't keep my mouth shut about it.
It's all right.
but,
you know,
That's how it goes. I told everybody too before. Yeah.
yeah. Tell the nice people how it went down.
So, when we were going there, I ran through like a bunch of ideas in my head. My brother, as it turns out, actually proposed a couple weeks before we went. And
really?
like I found out Well, he proposed.
I didn't realize that.
He proposed in Chicago as well.
Oh, no shit.
Did I not tell you guys this?
No.
think I knew
No.
this.
So like a week before he went with his now fiance, my brother and I were texting a bit, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go, and I'm gonna propose to her while we're there." And I'm like, "No shit, that's what I'm doing." We had no idea
That's
the
awesome.
other was gonna do it.
That's funny.
He did his in front of the Bean in Millennium Park.
Nice.
I forget. There's an actual name for the Bean. It's called like Cloud Gate or something like
Everyone
that.
knows it as the Bean.
Yeah. So he proposed in front of the Bean, and then a couple weeks later, Aubrey and I went, and so when we got there, it was funny because like, God, I'm sorry.
Christ, dude.
I can't.
Are you good?
I'm good. I can't keep it under control tonight. So anyway, so we get there, and I hadn't counted on the fact that there was going to be fucking metal detectors that you'd have to, because for obviously.
Shit.
So like I have this pendant in my pocket. This is a if anyone out there's played Skyrim, this is an amulet of Mara from Skyrim, which is it's the symbol of marriage and love in
And
that
people who
game.
listen to this show will remember that every single time Aubrey is
She
sitting there,
recommends
she
Skyrim.
recommends Skyrim.
Yeah.
Every single
Yes.
time, and it only gets funnier.
So,
It's like Paul Rudd's Mac and Me gag. It just
Yeah.
gets funnier with time.
so I have this silver plated brass amulet in my pocket.
Yeah.
And it occurs to me like maybe they would have accommodated me. Like maybe I should have gotten in touch with them first. But we were kind of playing the trip partly by ear. I didn't know when we were going to go to the Sky Deck.
Yeah.
It was only after she mentioned it I was like, "Hey, let's go on the first day." And she was like, "Okay." So we get there and there's a metal detector. So I'm ending up like just kind of standing there like a weirdo, like rifling around in my pocket because I'm trying to put it into the fold of my wallet. So that it's just kind of sandwiched in there. So that when I take that out and take my phone out, put it in the bin, go through, she won't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you had to do this bit of subterfuge.
Yeah, she
Sneaky,
when I told her
sir.
about this, she said that she probably wouldn't have noticed it anyway. She's like just so she says she's oblivious to stuff like that, but I didn't want to take the chance.
Right.
So anyway, we get up there, we look around the thing, and they have these booths. They protrude from the outside of the building, so the floor is glass. All both walls are glass, and the front is glass, and the ceiling.
Yeah.
And there's like a line. We had to wait in line for 6 or 7 minutes maybe. You have a time limit if it's 2 people or less. So I turned around, I handed my phone to the people behind us and asked them to take a video. And Aubrey was like, "We can just take selfies." And I'm like, "No, don't worry. This isn't gonna take too long." I just got down
Good
and
job.
do that.
Get it
Yeah.
on video. You got to get it on video.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's important.
I got it on video. There was clapping.
Oh, yeah?
It was- I can say everybody clapped unironically instead of memeing. By the time we got out of that booth, my eyeballs were vibrating and I couldn't feel my hands.
Yeah, right.
I was less nervous about being 103 stories up in the air with only a sheet of glass separating me from impending death.
Oh, my God.
And more about just the proposal and how it was going to work.
Yeah.
I couldn't. That's one of the things I can't and will not do is walk out onto that platform.
I still
I couldn't.
Can't
There'd
do
be
it.
no way.
I still haven't shown my dad the video.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, you have to.
terrified of heights. Yeah, he's gonna flip.
Yeah. Gosh.
You got to find a way to get it on video. For you people out there, you'll thank yourself later. It's a good idea.
Yeah,
Right.
I apologize to the woman behind us. I was like, sorry to dump that on you all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Figured to be okay with it.
No, yeah. People want to be involved.
People want to be
like
involved
that.
in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her exclamation is on the recording
Yeah, right.
as well, which is great. She's just like,
Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah. So it went pretty great. And then the rest of the city, thank you. And then
Yay.
and then the rest of the city was fucking awesome.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
It
course.
was a real good,
That's what we
real good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to eat what's which
Giordano's.
Giordano's.
We went to Giordano's.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to Giordano's. We went to we got ourselves a real fancy dinner at the Shanghai Terrace.
Nice.
They were fantastic to us when they learned that we were newly engaged. They gave us free champagne and some chocolate mousse cake.
That's so nice.
They really took care of us. Yeah, it was great. We had our first Uber ride ever.
Oh, really?
We did 3 or 4 of those over the course of the trip.
Yeah.
It ends up being way more convenient than trying to
It's
like
so much
go
easier.
places and park and shit.
Yeah.
Like parking is it's a nightmare. I got a ticket.
You park your car and you're like, oh, I'm going to take a huge dump right here. Oh, hold on.
I'm sorry, what?
You said parking shit. I'm sorry. I just pictured like
Just parking and shitting the whole time.
this is some parking deck.
Jim and park immediately shit
And
pants.
you pull into the deck, and then right next to your parking spot, there's a toilet just in the open.
You gotta run over to it,
You pay $8
drop your belt and it clatters and
to get into the parking shit.
Oh, Chicago's such a weird place. Oh,
Hit him with the old parking shit.
the parking shit.
Yeah,
One,
just-
two.
Just someone right next to a BMW with his pants down. Well, New York Times.
they
says
call it they call it the park and shit in the Midwest. In New York, it's called a stop and plop.
So
so
fucking
stupid.
dumb.
It's dumb. Sorry.
But
Anyway,
anyway,
that's why we haven't been here. Sorry to inconvenience you all.
yeah, right. Like, well,
right.
that was 2 weeks ago, and then last week we did D&D, and now we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. Should have changed your stupid life. Should have made you leave the care. If I'd known. Sorry.
I can't keep up.
I know.
I can't keep up.
So
dumb
now,
today.
hello, it's the Three Dudes Cast. We're back here drinking lots of beer and kicking lots of salty ass. We're here to rock your fucking socks and fucking stroke your fucking cocks.
That was good. I was with you there.
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen. We have a very special episode tonight.
We do.
We do. We're gonna keep the opening segment the same. I will probably skip as bad as it gets tonight, just for the sake of brevity.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not. It's not good. It's not a really good game anyway. Your games are better. You guys are better than mine.
I like as bad as it gets.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm not. I feel like
It
everything.
usually involves like a diarrhea sandwich or something. I mean, what's not to love about that?
I feel like everything I do sucks.
Or like a
so,
cocktail
you
with
know.
like hair in it. Like it's always something like that.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's not even funny. It's dumb.
I love it.
It's kind of dumb.
It's
I like it.
hilarious.
But no, we have a very special episode tonight. So with that, let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Why are we fucked, Ben? Yeah, see there,
Yeah, you almost got me there.
the discount double fake
I
out.
was ready. Ooh.
I don't feel especially fucked this week, honestly.
This is a trend, and I don't like it.
This is a trend.
I know.
Why do we have to be happy?
Well, here's the thing, though. I do have something different, which is something I've been laughing at like all day.
Okay. I'll take it.
I just learned about this today.
I'll allow it.
So, you know how there's an emergent perception in recent years that Boba Fett might not be as much of a badass as the fandom seems to think he is.
No.
The only thing think about it. The only thing he does of any use is track the Millennium Falcon to Cloud City.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
After that, he stays back while the stormtroopers do all the fighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rides with Han Solo to Tatooine, then gets accidentally killed by a blind Han Solo swinging a stick around.
That's true.
That's all he does.
Okay, fair
That's
enough.
the only thing Boba Fett ever does.
But he
It's
looks
true.
cool.
Now,
He does look cool.
He has a jetpack.
someone pointed this out to me, and I've been laughing about this all day.
Okay, what's that?
In Empire Strikes Back, which I believe is the first time we see him, they're on the bridge of the Star Destroyer, and Darth Vader is talking to all the potential bounty hunters that
Correct.
the Empire is going to be hiring. Well, so according to extended universe lore, which Disney uncanonized that, but I and a lot of people still consider the EU canon because it includes shit like Kyle Katarn and Jedi Outcast, and
Yeah.
all sorts of really cool shit. The Imperial Remnant. Well, in that room with him, there are 2 bounty hunters that have names in the EU canon. Just as an example, IG-88 is one who is a psychotic droid serial killer.
What does
Okay.
that sound like?
Greetings, meat bags.
Organic meat bags. Yes. Little couture for you there.
Yeah, and a man named Dengar who lost most of his brain in a racing accident. With these
Okay.
people in the room, I want you to consider what it says about Boba Fett's reputation for competency when Darth Vader comes up to him specifically after saying the target needs to be taken alive, coming up to Boba Fett specifically out of a room with a literal psychopath, a man with half a brain, to tell Boba Fett no disintegrations. Listen, dipshit, taking him alive means you're not allowed to kill him. I have been laughing about that all day.
That's a good point. Those other two fucking numbskulls at least clearly knew well enough not to do that.
Boba Fett must have such a reputation for incompetence that he is the fuckwit in the room that Darth Vader singles out to tell him, here's what no killing specifically means.
That's funny. I never would have noticed this.
That's really funny.
I never would have considered this.
And no one is considering this.
No one's talking about this.
No one is talking about
I saw the movie a long time ago. I was the first one to see Star Wars.
Yeah, sure. We like Boba Fett. We think Boba Fett's good. We like him.
And meanwhile, Crooked Ben Reese
Crooked
has been suppressing this information. I was the first one to point this out.
I was the first one. IG-88. We don't know who he is. Does he even have his own action
He's a
figure?
couple of bad dudes.
I don't respect Han Solo. I prefer people that don't get captured.
I like my heroes not frozen in carbonite, just to say. And I don't know. We like Boba Fett. We think Boba Fett looks cool. We like the way he uses his jetpack, and
We like jetpacks. And
like
also,
wait, who's
we
that?
like blasters.
Who's that? What's that? Get him out of here! Get him the hell out of here!
him up.
Get him! Take him to Jabba's palace.
Put him in the trash compactor.
Get him out of here!
Star Wars Trump's running mate would be Salacious Crumb, that little fucking monkey thing that sits on Jabba's shoulder.
So silly.
So anyway, I just wanted to share that because I've been giggling about that all day.
Really funny, actually.
But yeah, I don't feel particularly fucked. I'm just I'm having a good old time.
I just cannot abide this general joy. It just doesn't sit with me.
General Joy.
General joy. I guess okay. If I had to pick something, people flexing in the casual mode of online games because they're too shit to climb in ranked and they have low self-esteem.
Okay.
They can, fuck off. It's a video game. Quit taking it so seriously.
Okay, so like people who take casual too seriously.
Yeah.
Filthy casual.
You're like, oh, what's even your rank? It's like, I don't have
No
one.
one cares.
I don't have one because I
I'm
play
just
this
trying
in my spare time.
Yeah, I
I'm
play this
just
for
trying to have fun.
Yeah.
No one cares. No. You sound like an asshole.
Oh man. Now we're going to have a Hall of Fame farts. Because that's definitely in the short list of best farts on the show. It was so clear. Do you have another microphone down there?
I'm sorry. It was perfect.
All right.
And like to the
So look forward to that one in our Hall of Fame farts episode.
Yeah.
Where we rank our favorite farts.
best of season 3.
Yeah.
Woo.
Anyway.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Why are you fucked?
Gosh, I had a reason a second ago. Oh, no. I know what it is. So I am so
Gay.
incredibly gay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I'm so bad at personal finance. I think I might be the worst.
Same.
I don't know.
No, you're just a man.
Maybe that, I don't know. Maybe it's, well, there's a lot of men that are very good at this.
I think I might be the worst of us at personal
You're not
finance.
Jewish, Dave.
Says the guy who owns a house.
No, but like it's none of this shit. Like I'm just fortunate enough that I could like be shitty at money and still have this house. That's it. Like I'm so bad at this shit.
Yeah, I'm not good at it either.
And this week I have been, for basically the last 6 days, I have had $8 in my checking account.
Oof.
Oh,
And it
Been there.
fucking sucks.
Been there, bud.
I'm getting there. I get paid on Friday, thankfully. But
So do I. But here's the thing. So here's what happened. On Thursday night, I bought all those games on the Steam sale.
Yep.
I was all excited about it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this. I bought like 5 games and played them. I had a great time. I checked my bank balance before I did that. I'm like, oh, I got like over $500 in here. I'm freaking golden. This is great. Right?
Yeah.
The next day, I go through the line at Save-A-Lot with a bunch of groceries and shit. No, actually, I think it might have even been Monday. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. And my card gets declined. And that's an embarrassing thing when that happens to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fucking mortifying.
Talking to poor people here, so like I'm
Yeah.
sure we've all been through
Oh,
the
yeah.
Yeah.
crossing your fingers at the checkout counter so you don't.
Well, I didn't think there was anything wrong because the last night I checked my balance. I'm like,
Yeah.
everything's cool. I forgot my mortgage payment,
Oof.
which all $530 of it, poof.
Big oof.
Yeah, leaving me with $9. And then the next day, I got billed for something in my stash capital for saving money in stash.
Yeah.
I got billed for another $1. So then I had $8.
That's really funny.
I was just like, looking at exactly. I'm like, well, at least I got $9. And then I'm looking at like, you have $8.
God damn it! That's perfect.
So I'm really, really bad at money, and it's driving me insane. And I think so. I'm going to try to approach this from a different angle because this only for the last several months have I actually had any handle on it at all.
Yeah.
For like basically years, it's just been like try not to spend, but eventually spend too much and cross my fingers and hope all the bills get paid.
Yeah.
That's like all I did for years.
That's my whole life, dude.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I know that feeling.
So right now, I for the last couple of months, I've been keeping a spreadsheet of like this is what I have to spend, and this is when it has to come out, and this is what has to get paid in this 2-week pay period, and then this is what's going to be in the next 2-week pay period.
Yeah.
And like documenting this like very carefully. And now I think I'm about to step up to another level here because I just signed up with have you guys ever used the Mint app? Mm-hmm. Mint.
I don't think I have. Yeah.
So it's cool because you can sign into your like your bank account, your credit card accounts, your student loan accounts, all these different accounts. You can sign into them through Mint, and then and it basically tracks when your bills are going to be due, what they are, what you got in the bank, what you spent it on,
Yeah.
categorically based on like so you can look and be like, wow, I spent $400 on Hot Pockets this month. That's kind of out of control.
Only 400?
Like you do.
Oh, that's great. So usually
man,
twice that.
I got another couple hundred in the Hot Pocket budget.
Yeah.
Hot pocket.
So yeah, it just tells you what you're doing and what you're spending on. And I want to get better at this.
Good old roadkill and barbecue sauce hot pockets.
Yeah.
Hot pockets.
I hate their fucking barbecue.
Just fire starting beads.
I've never had the barbecue. Honestly,
Sucks.
I always do the ham and cheese, my dude.
No, pizza.
honestly,
Gotta go pizza pocket.
pizza with the buttery crust kind of thing or whatever it is,
A buttery crispy flake.
baked in a buttery crispy flake.
Baked in a
Diarrhea in a
buttery-
sleeve.
Baked in a buttery crispy crust.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get better at this. That's my whole point. Is like I have been bad at this for so fucking long, and I'd like to get to a point where like if I suddenly lost my job, I could coast for a hot second.
Right.
That's not possible right now. Like right now, I am like a dude at the very end of the rope, and if a tiny like wave comes over me, I drown.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
Anyway.
but you don't though, because you like your parents and your friends would help
absolutely,
out, and
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I couldn't ask anyone to do that shit.
You don't have to
that's the
ask.
thing. You wouldn't
You don't have
need to ask.
Yeah, well, we'd figure it out. We'd figure
I
something
don't know
out.
if anyone can be. You know what I mean? It's just you can't.
We're all
ever-
poor. You're saying that we're all poor and we.
No, I'm saying like you can't rely on anyone to like.
No.
I don't know.
I'm not saying we would like pay your mortgage forever, but I'm saying we wouldn't let you lose the house.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We wouldn't let you fucking like.
Unless
Yeah.
you want to lose the house.
Oh yes, I'd like to crash and burn spectacularly.
Plus, like you got a job offer from Google one time. I think you're good.
I didn't. I absolutely didn't. I applied to a job and they never wrote me back.
Yeah.
No. I thought you got like a letter from them, and it said like come out to our place and
No.
look around, and
What are you thinking of?
I don't know what I thought I'd fucking I don't know. Fuck.
That never happened to me.
Well, you have like all those award-winning beers that you make.
That's true. Yeah. And I got that glowing crystal.
That's true. You do.
I got that magical crystal.
And you
that
got a huge dick. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah.
No, if I ever need to, I could just,
You flop that thing out and look at it for like an hour. That's perfect.
just stare at it in the dim moonlight.
That's better.
Take a look at my enormous penis and my troubles start to melt away.
Boo, 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 doo, boo, doo, boo, zoo, bap. Penis. Oh god, you just
I can't do that like I
you
used
just got Armstrong.
Yeah, I've seen beams of sea. Danhauser too.
They can't believe, neither can you.
Anyway,
Anyway, that's it. Just trying to get better at money. Try not to be so
Are
dumb
you
at it.
still talking? My god.
Here's the other thing before I'm off this topic.
Oh, let's just get to me because it's way more important.
Like, on paper, this shouldn't be hard. Like,
No.
you ever sit down and write down your bills
Yeah, should
and
be
your
easy.
income, and you're like, okay, on paper, it's like easier than it is when I live it.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
not accounting for like
All
enjoying
the-
life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
All the little shit all
Yeah,
the
right.
time.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You still want to enjoy your life.
I guess. I don't know. I guess I want to enjoy
I
my
mean,
life.
like it's going to be hell if you just focus.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you want beer and like
Yeah.
I don't know, like
High class prostitutes.
and like Cheez-Its and stuff.
Yeah. Cheez-Its on the prostitutes.
Oh fuck, dude,
Yeah.
that's my fetish.
I was
Snorting Cheez-It crumbs off a high class call girl's ass. Getting that nacho rush.
covering a woman entirely in nacho dust.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, dude,
Yep.
that's fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just think about that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so on a slightly more depressing note, I'm gonna bring the mood down here. I am fucked.
How fucked are you?
I'm so fucked. Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm fucked because there's a lot of shit in this country that sucks, and one of those things is how expensive it is to get medicine that you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad, as you know, after he had his heart attack, he's on like a regiment of stuff, and then he hurt his. I talked about it on the show. He hurt his back this last. He had sciatica over like the entire course of like Christmas and for several months after through his birthday.
Yeah.
And he's only just now starting to get back to normal. Like we're going out and playing golf, and you can and it's still not perfect, but it's so much better than it was.
Right.
But okay, so he's on Medicare, Medicaid. I can't remember. Medicare, I think.
Yeah, probably. I think it's Medicare.
As a retiree.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Medicare.
So I'm gonna spare you guys the insanity of explaining how Medicare works and how the donut hole works in Medicare.
The donut hole.
Yeah, so it's basically like they cover your prescription drugs up to a certain amount, and then you have to pay the full price for them, and you have to spend a certain amount of money to get out of. They call that the donut hole.
Yeah, right.
And you have to spend
The gap in coverage.
Correct. You have to spend a certain amount of money to get out of the donut hole, and then they start covering things again. And it's like cyclical. It happens. They call it the donut hole because it just keeps happening round and round and round
Yeah.
forever, basically.
Fucking stupid.
It
what
is stupid. So dad's medicine, he has 2 prescriptions that are over $400.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Which are like, it's important to have it, but he's stuck in the donut hole right now. So they're in the process of buying a house. Actually, I think they just signed the papers today.
Oh.
Trying to get a little bit more settled and something that's a little easier than a 2-story jaunt upstairs to the,
Yeah.
to the apartment, and gonna have somewhere cozy and nice to stay. And he's stuck in the middle of donut hole, and he's been like surviving off of like free sample prescriptions because that's what you have to do if you still need the medicine.
Yeah.
And it's to the point now where it's like he's gonna have to stop taking it because they can't afford to spend $480 on prescriptions, 2 different prescriptions.
Who the fuck can?
No one can. Like, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
This is a guy with a pretty good pension, a pretty good 401k.
Yeah.
He's got retirement benefits,
Yeah, but that's
he's
like
collecting Social Security, like it's not like it's uncomfortable, you know what I mean? But it's still just not enough to cover.
yeah.
It's
That's a huge expense.
this is that's the big problem in this country too, is like the argument never focuses on that. The argument over healthcare is like is over like, well, who should pay? Who should pay for healthcare? Should it be the taxpayer or should it be the individual person for their own shit? But no, it's devious because it shifts the argument away from the real issue, which is why are drugs in this country specifically so goddamn expensive?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, when they're not comparably expensive in other places. At least not all of them. I don't have enough information on this.
Yeah,
Capitalism.
it's an absolute scam.
Yeah, it is. It is 100% a scam. There's a reason that like drugs are anywhere between 30 and like 800% cheaper in Canada.
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
it's out of fucking control here. Out of control. And like if it's to the point where you should never have to face financial ruin to get medicine that you need.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just disgusting. All it is greed. You know what I mean? Greed and money.
Is this ever gonna fucking stop?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Like, I feel like at some point we keep having a chance to like fix it, and we keep fucking it up. I don't know. Like at least twice, like America has had like a direct like confrontation with the possibility of free healthcare for everybody.
Yeah.
At least twice, and neither time the first time was an absolute non-starter, and the second time we got to compromise. It doesn't work for everybody.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't have a problem paying a lot more in taxes to get health care. I'm paying a lot now to get my private insurance.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Same.
And I still have to pay a fuckload if God forbid anything ever happens. I like it's to the point now where like to afford to live, I pay enough in insurance. I'm thinking about just fucking canceling my insurance.
God.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
Like
what you
that's
mean.
that's an entire generation of people who are like,
Yeah.
and I have friends who've done that. Just like, no, that's
Yeah. Do people not like genuinely see nothing wrong with the fact that like every other week you'll see like, you know, visit little Kaylee's Kickstarter. She has cancer and
Yeah.
we have no money, so you have to fund it for us.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's insane.
When we could just be collectively funding healthcare. Period.
Yeah.
Correct.
We could be doing that.
Yeah, and when we could be like putting people in office who will actually do something about the costs.
Never gonna happen.
And it's again the question is not like who should be paying for it. The question is why is it so goddamn expensive here specifically?
Capitalism.
Yeah,
Capitalism.
unchecked capitalism.
Correct.
Here's the thing that's been getting my attention lately. As crazy as this proposal sounds, and I'm still not sure I'm on board with this dude, Andrew Yang.
Yang gang. Hashtag Yang gang.
Hashtag Yang gang.
Yang gang.
The thing is, this universal basic income thing
Correct.
that he's floating, and other people have floated,
$1,000
and I
bucks
think-
a month.
And I think they've actually experimented with in places, and actually it does. It seems
works.
to be good, right?
Yeah.
As much as I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that, what I really like is that he plans on funding it with, among other things, a value-added tax.
Correct.
You know what a value-added tax is? Because I didn't. I had to look it up.
I do not know what that is.
A value-added tax, the genius of it is that it solves this problem we have where so much work has been lost to automation, right? And
Okay.
then nothing came to really replace that for most people. So in place of all these workers, you have machines doing things people used to do. And the idea of a value-added tax is that you tax on the production of something at every phase where value is added
Yes.
to the product.
Correct.
So in other words, if you take a bunch of molten, or you take a bunch of like iron ingots and you smelt them into something else, you've added value to the product. You've made a thing. There's a tax there. You take that and you machine it and you make it into like a plate metal, and you've added value there. Then you take that and you assemble it into a car frame. You've added value there. And all these steps along the way where the machines are doing these things to increase the value of a thing, there's a tax paid. And ultimately, that money comes back to the American consumer.
Yes.
Here's the problem I have with that. What's to stop a manufacturer from removing value-adding steps in the process to make a shittier product and therefore just having more stuff imported?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know.
That would be a question for Andrew Yang. The thing is, you can't get enough of that from him on the debate because he didn't get asked enough questions.
Yeah, you got to ask like 1.5 questions.
Yeah, you have to speak. You know, you'd have to get it directly from the horse's butthole. you
Yeah,
know,
right.
reach way up there.
Get it right from the Armison's pussy.
Yes. Yeah, it's like what's to stop the consumer from just buying a product where there is no value-added tax from another country?
See, here's the thing. That's already happening en masse right now.
So I suppose
You're already getting cheap shit from China and Korea. Trust me, I know. I sell a lot of it.
We could also solve this with our import tariff policy or whatever.
Correct.
If we decided that enough of that was happening, we could turn it around a different way.
And I do happen to
Sure.
agree. The one of the things that I do like that Trump did is like he like bullied China into
Yeah.
raising tax hiking. I think that's probably not a bad idea.
I don't think it's the worst idea either.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I you know what I mean? Like it's because there is a massive problem with
Yeah.
manufacturing here, and the jobs the jobs people aren't evolved enough to get with the program yet. They said by the year 2030, I'm sorry, we're like getting off on a tangent here. I'll try and wrap it up. They said by the year 2030, 30 million jobs will be lost to automation.
Yeah.
That's a lot of jobs.
We'll just wait till transportation is all done.
Yeah, right.
By automated driving. Just
Correct,
Wait
right.
until that's one of the largest sources of employment in the
Correct,
United States
correct,
is
yeah.
driving a truck.
Right.
What happens when we don't need that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, isn't it like retail then, you know what I
right.
mean? Yeah, like trucking. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's pretty crazy. So the thing is, to me, the idea of taxing the manufacturer because of how much they have saved by having machines do this instead of people. I mean, when you take all those salaries or all those work hours out of account, how much money you think these fucking companies have saved?
Oh, yeah.
And they
Right.
pass none of that to the consumer. I mean,
Yeah.
they pass a fraction, sweeten the pot a bit, get you to buy their thing over someone else's thing. They just make the price point attractive enough, but they're still making hand over fist.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
Trickle down economics has never, ever worked.
it will never
And it
fucking
will never
work.
Nah.
It will never. As long as human greed is a thing,
Yeah.
you'll never see that function.
And the way things are set up right now, that greed is completely unchecked and unstoppable.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, on paper, it looks like a great plan until you take into account the fact that rich people typically don't give a fuck about working poor.
No, they-
You know what I mean?
I don't
Right.
think so. With very few exceptions.
Very few exceptions. Yeah.
Or they like to think they do.
But I like to think they do. And by the way,
And by the way, let me be clear.
deli mustard goes way better on. I don't know. Bernie
On a
said-
nice Jewish rye.
Let me be clear.
No, allow me to be
No,
clear.
please allow
No,
me
let
to be clear.
please.
No, shut the fuck up. I want to be clear. I am the one who's clear.
Man, I want to be so clear.
Oh, I'm gonna be so fucking clear, dude. No, sorry, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent.
No, I think that's all related to the conversation.
Yeah. Bottom line, I don't think you should have to face, financial ruin in order to get medicine that you need,
Yep.
Yeah.
along with several other libcuck points that I can continue to make.
Warren 2020.
Yeah, we'll see.
Warren 2020. Right now, she's the one I'm actually looking at.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
What we need is for someone to start kidnapping rich people, dumping them into the forests of the Pacific Northwest and hunting them for sport. If they die, you feed their remains to the poor. You kill a lot of birds with whatever weapon you choose, I suppose. It can be
Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arrows really like you can get pretty accurate with it, and it's super efficient, but it still hurts, and it's going to take a while for them to die.
Right. You don't have to spend time digging bullets out of the meat either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point.
A Modest Proposal by Slam Hannigan.
Actually, you can char the arrow a little bit first, so you get that nice smoky flavor.
No. A modest
in the middle
proposal.
of their lungs.
A modest proposal by Aerosmith. Let's be real.
rich.
well,
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 I think it's time we took our first break.
let's take a break.
We will be back with the topic at hand.
Yeah.
Which I think you all I don't want to. I think you all know what I'm talking about. You got a little bit on it.
about our penises.
Oh, the topic this week is my fat dick.
All right. We'll be back in a minute.
Give me a
Stick
break.
Daddy.
Give me a break.
Oh,
Break
Dad.
me off a piece of that football cream.
Welcome to the Three Dude Podcast. Hey, yeah.
You can find us at 3dudecast.com.
If you're wondering whether that's spelled with the numeral 3 or the word 3, the answer is yes.
We're so proud of ourselves.
We're so clever. We're such clever boys.
Wow. We switched hosting to Podbean. You can still find us on iTunes and Google Play. So give us a like.
Yeah, give us a like, give us a listen, give us a review somewhere.
Give us a sandwich.
Give us a high five.
Give us sponsorships.
Please give us a hug.
Give us that money. Don't. All right, that's enough.
That's the intro level music for our new video game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sure was something.
Sure was. We're back.
Excuse me.
Fucking what?
Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Woo. That was- I had to leave my body, clearly.
Hey, remember that time you lost your skeleton?
Yeah, that was weird.
Oh, I forgot about that. You lost all the bones in your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you really kind of liked it, too. You were all loosey-goosey.
Yeah, it wasn't for me in the end.
That is something that literally only us and maybe Bo, who listens to this podcast, remembers.
Yeah, probably almost nobody remembers that.
Yeah. It's just like you and maybe Bo, if he remembers.
We had a lot of fun on YouTube.
We did have a lot of fun on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't think we're done with YouTube.
We're not
yet.
done with YouTube because we could be making so many more funny like sketches and dumb shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did the Like a Rock stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, we did.
Which is really funny.
Yeah. We did 2 of them.
Yeah. Do it.
Funny thing about the
Like a Rock.
I was
videos.
thinking about that joke today.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how far it has shifted.
Yeah.
Because it was initially like, the thing that a lot of you know what a lot of people don't know
Yeah.
about Alan Tudyk.
Yes,
But
two
then,
of them.
But then it just became funny thing about Alan Tudyk.
2 of them.
2 of them.
Yeah.
I guess it hasn't come that far. It's basically the same.
Yeah. No, it hasn't. We just use it for everything now. That's
Yeah,
the
just
difference.
everything's got
That's
two
the
of 'em.
evolution. Yeah, that was your joke. Was hey, funny thing about Alan Tudyk.
A lot of people don't know this.
A lot of people don't know this. He's got 2 of them.
2 of them.
Alan Tudyk.
You know what I like about that joke is you don't even have to say he has 2 dicks.
No, you just say
You just say 2 of them, and
of
people
them.
connect the dots so quickly.
yeah.
yeah, Tudyk. Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk.
2 of them. That's a really funny, stupid joke.
And let's not even get started on Charlie 3 Penis.
Oh, that's funny.
That was yours and TV's Matt Modine.
Ah, yeah, TV's Matt.
Jeez, Matt
Could that be
Modine.
TV's Matt Modine?
Just like the most like obscure B-list actor that they got to put on Stranger Things.
My goodness, is that TV's
Could
Matt
that be?
Modine?
Oh, Mohideen.
That was so funny.
Oh, Mohideen.
Oh, yes, TV's Matt Modine.
See how the eye goes to Modine. How does he do it?
I'm Mo done with this.
He did what you can't. I don't know.
What a stupid thing.
Yeah.
Hey, anyway, everybody, we're back. I said that weird.
Woo.
Hey, anyway, everybody, we're back. Fucking
we
weirdo.
are.
What a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. Dustin doesn't listen to this podcast, but he said something so funny to somebody the other day.
Okay.
And he realized how weird it was that he said it,
Okay, I want to know what it was.
that he had to apologize. He's like, I'm sorry, that was really weird. He was trying to explain like the overdubbing effect on Japanese movies. And he's like, it kind of looks like my lips reach your eyes before my mouth, or what do you say? It's kind of like it's like my lips reach your eyes before the sound from my lips reaches your ears. That was really weird. I'm sorry.
I get what he's trying to. He's trying to convey audio and video being out of sync.
Correct. Yeah, he was.
It's like my lips reach your eyes.
He said that to a person that he was talking to, like trying to sell something.
like a
and he's like,
customer?
yeah, and he's like, I looked away from him, and then I looked back, and I'm like, that was really weird. I'm sorry. It's like my lips reach your eyes before. I'm sorry, what? That's so funny to me.
Your lips will not touch my eyes, sir.
And frankly, I'm goddamn pissed off about this.
That's a very weird way to say that. Why
Yes.
would he say it that way? Why wouldn't you just say you see it before you hear it? That's so much easier.
Okay.
Like, why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know. I just don't know.
I don't know either.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave. Oh, I just don't know, Dave. Oh, I don't fucking know.
Oh my god!
Oh no. I'm sorry.
What the hell are you guys both doing?
I told you my father and Bethany are moving.
Yeah, right.
And they need help moving. And I
Oh,
just-
really? When are they? Well, you said they just closed today, so it's probably gonna be.
They did, yeah.
Pretty soonish. Pretty soonishly. I remember when I bought this place. I feel like it was like less than a month.
Yeah,
when
right.
I was moving in. Like,
Yeah,
it kind of like goes quicker than you think.
It's very quick.
Yeah. The worst part of buying the house for me was like the uncomfortable 45 minutes you got to spend in front of a lawyer who's pointing out all the X's you got to sign on.
That's what he said. It was a phone book worth of a
It's
contract.
insane. There's so many things, and you can't read them. You can't.
No, you can't. It's not possible.
It is impossible for you to read. You have no idea what you're signing.
Right. Your life away.
You have signed your life away.
Right.
I mean, those contracts could say anything.
Yeah. Well, once a month, Carrot Top gets to come and take a shit on your chest.
I just you finally finish signing, and he goes, "All right," and he starts unbuttoning his shirt, and you're like, "What?" He's like, "Well, you didn't read the contract, did you?"
All right, spread those ass cheeks. Let's go.
Well, you signed on page
Why is he-
58. I assumed you knew what you were getting into here.
It sounds like a lot. Well, just spread those ass cheeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, get on. Like Obama or our old boss Paul.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what are you talking about? What doesn't matter with you?
Oh, no. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Spread those ass cheeks. Can you get that done? What doesn't matter with you?
What the hell's the matter with you?
Very similar.
The oddest thing about him was the fact that he would do the thing that we
That
do.
he was Greek. Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
It was that he would do that thing where you sing some lyrics back,
Yeah.
whatever. But he would just say very plainly the lyrics of the song
Yeah,
that
right.
was on right now.
Oh yeah, and are you okay, babe? Yeah, know what I'm talking about?
I would just mutter the lyrics to you.
Who is this?
There's our former manager.
Yeah.
Over at Merck's.
Mercs.
It's just a very odd thing that he did.
I think he's back. I think he's from outer space. He's a district boss. I
Oh,
think.
really?
Yeah. So he's
Move that up.
Yeah.
God, I do not miss working there.
I don't either.
Still have nightmares about it.
Devin still works there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like a leader now, which
That's
is cool.
Yeah.
He's in
Move
charge.
that up.
Moving on up. We're not going to do that. Hey, anyway, we we had a prior topic set out for this episode. As I
Yes.
said before, I'm going to
Yeah.
skip as bad as it gets this week, although I do have one for the next time, so I will keep that primed and ready to go.
Okay.
But for brevity's sake, we're going to try very hard here to stay on pace and not bore the shit out of you with this.
Yeah.
So the topic, gentlemen, is the very first ever Three Dudes debate.
I have no idea how this is going to go.
I have no idea how this is going to go either.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
The Mutual of Omaha presents Three Dudes Debate.
Debate, yes. So we had in case you guys didn't listen, Tyler.
I can't single
He's
him
like,
out.
oh, he's telling me something that happened like months ago on the podcast. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. I was there, and that's a long time ago. You're way out of sync here.
But the thing is, months ago is maybe 2 episodes.
I know,
ago.
yeah, that's the problem. But what, in case you missed the last couple episodes, I had decided on the topic, and then we slowly but surely revealed all of our topics to each other in an attempt to prep to know what we're getting into. I suspect that none of us have done very much research.
Not really.
Little bit.
Not really.
I did a little.
It's difficult to do when the entire thing is going to be predicated on opinions, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
We tried to do a little homework, though.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
tiny bit.
yeah, you know,
you know, homework. But yeah, the entire point was that we would try and prep for this, which we've done.
I have notes.
Do you?
I have notes.
I have notes right here and right here in this beer can that I'm holding up that no one can see because it's a sight gag that nobody can see.
I have
over an
notes right
audio
in this
medium.
12-ounce can. And those notes say, feel good.
So my topic was.
Yes. Yeah, how are we going to do this?
God,
Are you,
sorry, I'm so fucking farty tonight. I
are
don't
you
know-
still farting over
I'm
there?
still farting. There's something wrong.
Dude, the dog got closer to you after you fart. I think he's really into your farts.
Well, good because he's in for a treat.
Keeps getting closer. He's like, come on, bring him, dude.
Reader, please eat. You're in for a treat. It's my.
Is that like R.L. Stein?
Yeah.
Please eat. You're in for a treat.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're doing either.
So my topic was, and again, to predicate this, what am I talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking
I don't
about?
know. To set this up for the audience, you don't have to believe in the topic that you chose. You just have to defend it. The topic that I chose was that country music songwriters are the best songwriters in the realm of popular music.
All right.
Dave, if I remember correctly, your topic was that life as a child in the 90s is objectively way worse than life as an adult today.
Yep.
Correct? Ben, you know what? I thought I was going to forget yours because I told several people what yours was, and I just blanked on it right here. So why don't you tell the people what your defense was?
professional bowling is one of the best, if not the best,
Spectator.
televised spectator sport.
Yes, I remember.
Boy, am I going to have fun with that one.
So it depends on where we would like to start, gentlemen. The format for this debate tonight is that you will have a 2-minute opening to start. You'll have 25 minutes total of basically getting hammered with questions from the other two.
Okay.
I've been spending a lot longer than that getting hammered.
Good point. So yeah, we'll say 2.5 minutes to open, 2.5 minutes to closed, and then the center portion is the group pretty much hounding you and you having to defend it.
Okay.
During those 2.5 minute open and closing segments, the other two are not allowed to say anything at all. You get to begin, pretty much as you want without interruption. Cool. So I leave it to the table. Let me get my timer ready.
I was going to say, you want me to time this thing? If you're gonna start, are you gonna start? Who's starting? How's this work?
Well,
Do we get to be clear?
let me be clear.
I would like to be clear. Is that
Dave,
all right?
since you've got notes, we're going to start with you. I was going to open it up, but I think we're going to go with you.
Okay.
You let me know when you're ready for that 2.5
right.
minutes.
Okay, so please start. So yes, as I said, being an adult right now is way better than being a child in the 90s. I have several reasons for this. I broke them down into 5 main categories. Number 1, getting anywhere, getting places. When you were a kid, what was your travel radius? How far could you realistically ever get without someone else's help? Mine was probably about 5 miles. I looked at a map and I tried to figure out exactly how far I could actually get on a bike. 5 miles. Going to a neighboring city was a big deal, and you had to convince someone else to take you. That was a pain in the ass. But
Sure.
by contrast, today, if I want to, as an adult, I can get as far away as Central Park, New York City, and back in one day. If I want to do that, I can do that, and I don't have to ask anyone else for help. I don't have to bother someone. I can do it myself. 2, school is significantly shittier than work. It's your job, but nobody pays you to do it. You can't quit. Even the good parts are overshadowed by this fact. It's exhausting. I can't stay awake through a full day meeting at work. I don't know how kids stayed awake through, all of school, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you can't quite do your job very well, so your boss calls your mom and your mom yells at you. Bullshit.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3, a short list of things that didn't exist before the year 2000. Any Xbox, the Accelerator hand dryer, any camera phone, Chipotle, anywhere except Colorado, Steam, the energy drink, the Baconator.
Ooh.
Number 4, all the swearing. Back in the day, you couldn't really get away with swearing. I know this can't just be me. It wasn't just kids. People didn't tolerate a lot of swearing in public. I remember this distinctly. Starting in 1999, Chicago Hope was the first show to say shit on network television. South Park did an episode about that. Cable TV put a bigger dent in it, but as a rude dude, I appreciate this. Number 5, nostalgia lies. Everything they bring back sucks. Surge, French Toast Crunch, etc. Never as good as you remembered it, and I think I'm over time.
You're not.
No, you're good.
I'm good?
25 seconds.
All right. Well, okay.
Anything you want to do in closing?
Yeah, Oreo O's, not that good. You're not buying them. The Tamagotchi, have you bought one since they brought it back? These nostalgia lies to us. It is way better to be an adult with your own disposable income, do whatever the fuck you want, than it is to be a kid on someone else's rules. I don't get grounded. I don't have to keep secret shit.
Okay. So for your opening statement, I'm gonna. I think we should. The best way to approach this, Ben, is to try and segment it piece by piece.
There was one thing in particular stuck out to me. What were the things that you said invented after the year 2000 that it's good that we have? One thing stuck out to me, and I can't remember what it was.
The Xbox, the accelerator hand dryer, all camera phones.
No. You're really gonna bring up hand dryers?
Yes.
As a defense, those things suck.
Those things
Thank you.
fucking rule.
They get bacteria they actually get your hands dirtier.
That's true.
Bullshit.
No, they really
blow
really do.
bacteria
It's been proven.
all over your
Yeah,
hands.
they're bacteria farms.
I am very skeptical of this.
Now, I will give you this. The Dyson hand dryer is significantly better than any of the other like Excel heat dryers.
Still doesn't beat a good old fashioned paper towel.
But I will tell you that if you use the shake and fold method with a paper towel, which I do because they took the paper towels out of our bathroom at work.
Okay.
You leave the bathroom, you go into the adjacent janitor's closet, you shake all the water out, as much of the water off your hands as you can. You grab a little sliver of paper towel and you fold it over twice. It plies the paper towel. You
Okay.
can get your hands just as dry that way. And it's
okay.
All right.
I'll have to try that next time.
Yeah. Shake and fold. I saw somebody on a TED Talk do that one time, and I've been doing it for like 6 years.
I'm just saying, if you compare the accelerator hand dryer to the average hand dryer,
It still
never
sucks and
ever
doesn't.
got your hands dry. Never got your hands
Neither
dry.
does the accelerator.
Sure it does.
No.
You do that shake thing, you hold your hands under there for maybe 15
The
seconds.
only one that I've ever had that worked as good as you would expect it to is the Dyson hairdryer, and those are only in the good airports.
All right.
So okay, let's go from the beginning. Your first point that you brought up was travel radius.
Travel radius.
which is you said roughly 5 miles by bike.
Yeah, it's just about. That's the radius. That's
Now-
5 miles out and back.
I will grant you that you are severely limited as a kid, but I will also make the argument that it's less important to you when you're a kid. Typically, most of the friends that you know at school are within a small enough radius that it's not super difficult to either A, reach them, from your homestead by yourself, or B, hitch that ride from somebody to get over there.
Well, sure, but that's like we're talking like that's why 5 miles isn't that big a deal. But 30 miles, it's like there's a part of the world is inaccessible to you.
Sure.
And that does matter because there's things that don't happen in your little town, There's things that only happen in Cleveland, Pittsburgh.
But like when you're a child, did you really
Sometimes.
were you that into migrating out there?
Well, case in point, we both were at the same Weird Al concert when we were kids, Ben.
Yeah.
That was pretty well outside my biking distance on average. I could have maybe made that, but also how am I going to get tickets and shit like that? Like you need adults
Yeah.
to help you with everything.
Yeah, but that's your formative years. That's what those years are for. You're supposed to be dependent on someone to show you the way
Yeah.
in order to, function then as an adult later.
Right. I guess the point I'm making though is just your world is very small without having to bother somebody. And what if your parents don't care about the shit you want to go do out there?
Sure.
The ride doesn't happen. The thing doesn't happen. You have to count on convincing people around you that something is worth their money and time.
That's just called growing up, bud.
Yeah.
I mean, again, that's one of those things that I think like money and time, money wise especially, because I had stuff that I asked my dad for that was like, I know if I was a parent, I would say, no, that's fucking stupid. Why would I do that? Do you know what I mean? And you have to try and like explain that to kids and give them that concept. Otherwise, they're just going to be like Martin Shkreli, just buying shit for the,
Right. To
Pharma bro.
To expand on the idea that it's not as important when you're a kid to travel. you know, it really is, because you're still learning about all the shit that you can do within your own personal sphere. There's a point, I would say, maybe around your early to mid teens where it stops being that exciting and you start thinking about other places. But I would say growing up in the 90s, like, I was perfectly content, like just learning what I could in my sphere, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Learning, you know, even just seeing videos of places and, you know, establishing that initial interest in them. It's actually the going places that you kind of need a bit more maturity to do.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like maybe it wasn't as important as a kid to travel out and go do things that are farther away.
Sure.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't, but still, the fact that it was basically a non-option in a lot of scenarios.
Sure. The thing is, you're looking at that with adult eyes now. Think about kid eyes. Kids have a concept of the bubble that they're in.
Think about children's eyes.
I don't have to. I have.
Think about a big old bucket of
I've got a
children's
jar
eyes.
of them in my closet,
Think about kids' eyes.
stuffed in vinegar.
How do they squish in the palm of your hand?
Okay, so let's take a look at the second point you made here. That school
Okay.
is a lot shittier than work. I cannot
Objectively.
debate that.
Yeah, I don't have a counter.
That's a
argument
very
for that.
difficult. The only counter that I can come up to for that is that school is, or at least as it was designed in this country, a way to, you know, throughout the industrial age for the U.S., a way to prepare children for becoming American workers. Basically,
It's a regimented system where you have a lot of
Correct.
bosses.
But school in the 90s doesn't do that.
That's true. So I will give you a point for that one, sir. That is a tough argument to make because I happen to agree with that. I think anybody who tells you that was the best time of your life is just wrong.
Yeah.
Because you can have just as much fun at work if you're surrounded by people that don't suck.
Correct.
Which is
Right.
the only good things about
Right.
school as a kid, other than the subjects you actually liked.
Yeah, sure.
The only part you really remember is interacting with people that either made you laugh or
Yeah.
they had fun with.
Another advantage to school, you can't be fired from school.
That's true.
You can't be fired,
well,
but you can't quit.
You can't quit either.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That
That is a very difficult point to argue.
I'll give you one more icing on the cake here. Take any school lunch you liked, your favorite school lunch, and then tell me you wouldn't rather have a Crunch Wrap instead. Because you can't pick where you have lunch in school. You can't do it. Even your favorites are not really your favorites.
So in light of you making a good point, let me move on to the next one that I can counter.
All right.
You said there was a lot of tech that didn't exist back then.
That's true.
To that, I would counter there was a lot of tech that didn't exist back in the 80s, and people still made do and had fun.
Oh, sure.
You
But
go-
this isn't about whether the 80s are better than the 90s.
No, I'm just saying that tech is subjective to the era that you're living in.
True.
Yeah,
So-
there's no way to say that like being an adult now with the tech that we have, because you got to contextualize it in the 90s. Like how you know how the hell am I supposed to know that a game is lifelike as like, you know, the new Battlefields were ever going to be made when the best that we had was GoldenEye and
Exactly.
Doom.
Right.
Right. You know, there was no way for us to know that.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I should be. Let me be a little more laser focused. The Baconator didn't exist.
Sure.
Let's come back to that one. Like, there are objectively things right now that you might not want to live in a world without.
Yeah, but dude, here's the thing: we still had the Dave's Classic Double, and we still had
true.
a Big Mac.
That's true.
Back when the Big Mac was good.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think the fundamental flaw with this point is that you're talking about retrospective context, which isn't really fair to the point you're trying to argue against. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
Like the value that we place on the years of our past, and the 90s specifically in this case, is based upon the context in which we were living at the time. I think it's kind of unfair to be like, you know, well, you know, how, like, it'd be like saying, how was anyone happy in the 1700s? They didn't have indoor plumbing or electric lights. They had no right to be happy then.
Well, it's
You know?
not saying the 90s is bad. It's saying it's better now. And that's my point. I'm not saying the 90s sucked. I'm saying it's better now.
You're saying it's better to be an adult now than a kid then.
Yes.
All right, I got a big point, big fat stupid point for you. You didn't have to really pay bills when you were a kid.
It's true.
You didn't have to worry about finding and maintaining a job. You didn't have to worry about if you were going to have food in your refrigerator. You didn't have to worry about, repairing a car. You just had to worry about being a kid.
That said, you didn't have money, couldn't spend money, and had very little personal choice in what you acquired for yourself.
Sure. Again, though, but that's all formative. That's something that everybody went through.
Sure. I'm just saying it's better. I'm just saying it's better to the worry with the worries and anxieties of being an adult comes the fact that if I want to, I could stay up all night drinking
Sure.
Mountain Dew and no one can tell me no.
That's a good point. I remember when years ago when I first met Trisha's brother, I spent the night over there because there was like something that we were doing the next day, and I got myself a big bowl of ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that looks good. Can I have some ice cream?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "Well, why do you get to have it?" And I said, "Because I'm a grown ass man and I can do whatever I want." Right. Give it a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand that though, but like,
Like I wouldn't say that the 1700s were a horrible time to be alive.
no.
But I would say I'd much prefer to be alive in the 90s. And I would say
Sure.
between the two, I'd rather be a grown up now than a kid in the 90s.
Would you rather be a grown up now or a grown up in the 90s?
Yeah, that's a good point. Think about that.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I mean, that isn't the topic, but I'm willing to engage it, right?
Right.
Well, just
It's
as an
fucking
aside.
interesting. Yeah, it
Just
is
as,
interesting.
just as an aside,
I don't know. That's a good
do
question.
you think being an adult would have been better or easier in the 90s compared to now?
Your dollar went further?
Sure.
Employment prospects were objectively better.
The first black president was in office.
Yes,
Is a-
George Bush Sr.
Oh yeah, Bill, yeah, right.
Yeah, Billy Slippery Willie.
Bill Clinton was president, and that was you get to turn on the news and hear tawdry sex details for a
Yeah,
large
right.
chunk
Yeah.
of that. That was great.
That was great.
I don't know. I think in some ways it would have been better to be an adult in the 90s than an adult now.
Maybe.
I mean, like we have access to a lot more now, but also like the mental tax of like knowing everything we have to know all the time because of how much information is fed to us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not as much information was fed to us in the 90s.
Yeah, right. And that was pretty great.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Sure.
yeah, I don't know.
But getting back here, like, all right, let's just go to the next point. You said you brought up swearing.
Swearing.
Yeah, I wrote, all right, that's pretty good on my sheet when you brought up swearing. But I mean, did you really swear any less when you were a kid?
Yes.
Did you?
Totally.
Yeah, I know I did, but only because I didn't have as many creative ways to use them.
That's true. I'll give you that. But that's what I mean. Like, there's not as much context for it because you can't just let loose whenever the hell you want. You fucking prick.
Here's a point on this. How often today do you hear anyone, if you swear, someone unironically say language?
Yeah, good point.
That happened a lot back then. And now if people do that, it's kind of a joke,
Yeah, sure.
right?
I will give you that. That's an interesting point.
Cultural attitudes towards swearing. And again, I'm a dirty dude. I like to say a lot of dirty shit because I'm broken that way.
I mean, I will tell you though that when I was a kid, when you're out and it's just you and your buddies, right?
Yeah, right, sure.
You get to like talk like I'm just gonna say like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like, you get to talk like you're going to talk forever.
Yeah,
when,
South Park definitely has the right of it.
Yeah, right.
Kids left to their own devices will just be cussing with each other,
Right. Sure.
And because it provides them great amusement, and then when you're an adult, cussing becomes a kind of an intensifier.
Yeah.
Here's
It's like the sprig of parsley on the side of your chicken française.
Yeah. You don't think about you don't think about your language as much as when you're an adult because it just.
no one can yell at you about it. For the most
Yeah,
part,
that's
for
what I
one.
mean. Because the F
Yeah.
word is like,
You've already fallen into certain patterns and
Right.
mannerisms in your speech.
Well, you think about it, like there was, I think, a time where like people really kind of turned an eye if you said fuck.
yeah, right.
I don't really feel like that's the case now. I feel like people kind of brush it off. I mean, like again, like words like shit, which is like so soft on the curse word list right now.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
But they were unairable. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I agree.
You know?
But is that necessary? I'm going to take like a conservative stance here. Is that necessarily a good thing?
No, the thing is, I find it to be neither a morally good or morally evil thing. I think
Okay,
it's
you're taking-
basically a matter of pleasure.
You're taking a neutral stance on it. I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
It's just that it's fun. I don't think it's good necessarily, but I don't think it's hurting anything either.
okay. That's a fair point.
Yeah, it's not good necessarily, but it would be bad to censor it.
Yeah,
certainly.
That's a good point.
But it's just a matter of like it should be. It's not like good to do it to excess.
Sure.
Because it makes you look like an idiot if you just cuss every other word.
Yeah.
But censoring it would be unequivocally bad, like way worse than proportionally to the good that we get from having it.
Yeah.
In the America that I want to live in, freedom of speech means you can say curse words all day long. I think there was a time where that was more of a taboo, for sure.
I
now-
still wouldn't do it in a job interview.
Let me
myself.
ask you this: through
It would feel weird.
adult eyes, would you want to have kids walking around swearing all the time?
I don't mind.
It's hilarious.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
No,
No, it is. First of all, it is kind of funny. Well, like, what was that kid from Fallout? That little mayor kid, who's like half of his dialogue was swearing. It was like I think it was Fallout 3. It was a little kid who was like the mayor of some little town, and just like
I don't
watched
remember.
I watched one of those no clip documentaries because Dan turned me on to them, right?
Yeah.
And they were talking about making like they shifted basically 80% of the swears in the game over to this little kid because it was funny.
Yeah.
It is
It is
funny.
fun. I'll give you that. I'm gonna let you know. I'm calling an audible here. I'm gonna give you 1 minute at the end too.
Okay.
Because I think that's really all you need to conclude everything.
Okay.
I think too that whatever curse words we have now that kids might run around saying, we're always going to come up with something worse. There's always going to be something profane, something that will offend common sensibilities for you
Right.
to say. That kids just aren't allowed to say. I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to say crap. I'm sure kids now don't face the same scrutiny.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure crap is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
I guess to argue against myself a little bit, just because this is all for fun.
Yeah, it's
anyway,
open, yeah.
Is I can envision a world in the future in which I'm much older and I hear younger kids say some shit that's like way dirty, like
Yeah,
stuff
right.
that pushes the envelope for me
Yeah.
casually, and I'm like, oh wait, we went too far.
Correct. That's what I mean.
I can see that happening.
Think about some of the stuff that we say off mic on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Where we're just trying to
Out-dirty each other.
Out-dirty each other. Yeah. Which is a thing that adults, specifically like adult men do.
yeah, adult men who are interested in comedy.
Now
for
picture
one.
like a 10-year-old doing that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to hear like an 8 to 10-year-old kid tell the Exorcist the Aristocrats joke.
Yeah, right.
What's the Exorcist joke?
Although real talk, a 10-year-old would probably be really funny at telling the aristocrats.
I'd probably die, but the thing is, like, the dirtier it got, the worse I'd feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It would almost be funnier the tamer it is. Like, and then the dog poops on the floor.
Yeah, right.
See what I mean?
Right?
Now, see,
yeah, that's funnier.
13, 14-year-old boys, they would go ham on that joke.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, now envision like the fact that the God, I'm stuttering.
Right there?
Yeah,
And then
so-
the dad has to pick up the dog poop with his sock. The aristocrats.
and he licks it.
And then
licks
he licks the poop. He licks the dog poop.
Well, like picture, for example, like the thing is, the aristocrats joke historically has like a lot of like not just obscenity, but like incest and all kinds of really. Now, if you hear a kid making that joke, that's uncomfortable,
That's intense. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a
right?
lot.
Now, I could see a world in which I'm like, dude,
Yeah, that's
you
a
have
lot.
blown right across the line of propriety. It's like too much for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when you have a kid talking about incest, it's usually in the presence of a detective.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
It's not something that you.
Too real.
Write that quote down for later. All right, so let's move on to the next point.
All right, next and final point. I
Shout
think.
out to Uncle Hansy.
Yeah, right. Nostalgia sucks.
Nostalgia, it lies. It
Nostalgia lies. You know what? In support of your point, before I start thoroughly eviscerating it like the complete bastard I am.
Yes.
I not all that long ago, maybe a few years ago, found that the original Power Rangers was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yo, it sucks.
I bet it does.
It really fucking sucks. It's the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
I just about lost it when Jason, the Red Ranger, is like teaching a martial arts class, and he says, "Remember, martial arts is not meant to hurt other people." I'm like, yes, it is.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's only for that.
It's exclusively for hurting other
It's
people.
designed. What are you fucking talking about? That's
Now,
too funny.
Okay, so I will say that a lot of nostalgia sucks.
Yeah.
A lot of it's pretty good too, man.
Okay.
Think about this, right? We grew up in a pretty gnarly video game era, right?
Yes, we did.
Most of the best games that have come out in the last 6 or 7 years have been remakes of other older, better games.
Okay.
Think about that. Think about this past console launch and think about how terrible everything has been except whatever Nintendo's doing, God of War, Spider-Man.
The things that
That's
things that came out in the 90s were absolutely genre defying.
Yes.
Defining is what I meant to say.
Right.
You know, you think of Ocarina of Time. You think of Doom. You think
GoldenEye,
of
Quake.
Quake. Absolutely.
Well, okay, so like dumb question.
Half-Life.
Objectively, and this is for you to answer. What is better, Ocarina or not Wind Waker?
Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild is
I haven't played Breath of the Wild, so I don't know.
You have played them both.
I have, yeah. I'm actually replaying Breath of the Wild. Through modern eyes, Breath of the Wild is absolutely better.
That's a good point.
Through modern eyes, 100% Breath of the Wild is better because it's technically way more impressive.
Yeah, but you probably actually had more fun playing Ocarina now that I'm thinking about it.
Correct, because it was, and moreover, Majora's Mask, which was one of the most beautiful looking games
Yeah.
ever.
I'm
when it
willing
came
to
out.
concede that one actually because
Well, that's good because we are rapidly approaching
we
your time.
Oh my god.
short on time here.
You know what the trouble is too with the nostalgia thing is that so rapidly nostalgia is being monetized for the benefit of producers
Yes.
in our day and age.
Cynically.
The Power Rangers movie that came out a few years ago. What else has been going on? All the fucking Michael Bay Transformer movies. God, there's something else that they're bringing out, and I can't place for the life
I
of me
can't
what it
either.
is.
Well, they're doing a Lion King remake, right? They're
Yeah,
doing-
they're remaking all the live action Disney movies.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is not good.
there's Mulan, there's Little Mermaid,
Yeah.
like all of these things.
unnecessary.
Absolutely
Give
unnecessary.
me new things.
But I'm saying toys, candy, video games, which is stuff that were formative to us.
Sure.
A lot of that is pretty good. When Halo 2 remake is one of the most mind-blowingly good-looking things I've ever seen.
also a thing that happened after the year 2000.
That's true.
All
Yeah.
of Halo happened after the
That's a
year
good point.
2000.
Yeah.
But I mean, from nostalgia's sake.
Sure.
Cartoons were definitely better in the 90s.
I'm
not sure about that.
I'm not sure about that.
It depends. Well, I know I don't want to like push.
Yeah, I would say we are
I
reaching
need
time.
I need to allow you to say things because I get a minute after all this. So
You do. We're actually pretty much right there at this point, but I will allow you to make the.
I was just
I'll be loose for the moderation.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
most
yeah.
of this, so.
I was just gonna say wider variation of styles in the 90s. Between Rocco, between
Ren and Stimpy.
Ren and Stimpy, SpongeBob came out in like '99, didn't it?
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead.
Beavis and Butthead. Stylistically, animation took more risks, and it
Yes.
wasn't all just done in like Adobe Flash.
Agreed.
I will 100% give you that one because I can't think of a cartoon now, one that I guess would be primarily targeted at children, that has anything near the mass appeal that those had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will give you
it
that
really
one.
doesn't.
So let's hit your final point. You have a minute, Dave. Conclude your argument.
Well, just to round it out, I think that a lot of what we look back on from the time period of our childhoods is viewed through the lens of being a child.
Yeah.
I think it's really easy to get excited about anything when you're a kid, almost anything. And I think that getting older entails a certain kind of, I don't know, some of the magic gets lost,
Yeah,
right?
but you trade that for liberty. Is your point?
Exactly. And that's the point I'm making is that when we look back on this stuff, I think that our memory is significantly altered by the way that we seem to, the way we remove, I don't know how to put that. I just
No, I think I understand what you're trying to say. Like
The way that we see these things in a vacuum, disconnected from the rest of the world
Correct.
that we perceive as adults.
through adult eyes,
Yeah.
looking back on something in a bubble from so long ago.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I know I'm out of time there,
Okay.
but in short, yeah, I think if we could live with the enthusiasm of kids now, I think that we would. I think it would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
we can't. You know, we're
Right.
tired, weathered people.
Sure.
so.
I think that's right. Fucking dumb, weak, white,
White
guilt, milk toast, piece of human garbage. Sorry. Hey, we're back, everybody. In case
Thank
you
you,
didn't.
Rick and Morty.
Yeah, thank you. We are back. That was probably very quick for you. For us, that was like a little 10-minute resty poo. So.
Yeah. But that means we are turning around to another presenter.
Yes.
It's me.
Your point. Your point was that astrophysics today is at some point a step back from astrophysics as it existed in the 1980s.
Absolutely, because with recent developments in quantum theory and string theory, a lot of what we know about classical physics is turning out to be more complicated than we previously imagined. So now we have to reimagine everything on the context of quantum physics, subatomic particles, and essentially everything Einstein said about the fourth dimension is rapidly becoming, well, he's not wrong exactly. It's just we have to expand our vocabulary in describing.
Yes.
Anyway, it's
I
about
can-
bowling, actually.
I can contribute to this topic. I made an alarm clock with a potato. Please observe.
I made a baking soda volcano. Anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Anyway, brother, here's Wonderwall. All right.
You ready to rock this,
Ben,
dude?
2.5 minutes is yours.
You might want to actually put it so you can see it.
Yeah.
I had to read upside down and I got very confused.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Yeah, that'll
Can
do.
you see from there?
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. My point is that professional bowling is one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting, spectator sport on national television.
Okay.
Like Dave, I decided to break this up into 5 easily digestible points. One is the visceral satisfaction that you get from watching a strike, a real well-thrown ball going right into the pocket. For right-handers, that's the 1-3 pocket. For left-handers, that's the 1-2 pocket. Just something that just really sails in and cascades everything. All the pins getting knocked down. There's a real good satisfaction from that, and you get to see it multiple times in a tournament, many times. It doesn't change depending on whether you get it or you're watching someone else get it. It's always really satisfying just to see. Number 2, you can't really get mad watching bowling. Even if you have a favorite player, there's never really any bad blood between the players. There's never really, it's all very professional and sportsmanlike. There's no refs to blow calls. There's no bad penalties. There's no goals that should have been called back. You just can't get mad watching bowling. Number 3, the pace is just right. Every several seconds, someone gets up and takes a roll. There's not a whole lot of dead air in bowling. You know, it's 1 roll, 2 roll, move over to the next lane, 1 roll, 2 roll, then the next bowler gets up. It's paced just right. Number 4, anyone can join in and learn. In an effort to popularize bowling again, the networks have started including like tip segments and answering viewer questions about how to improve your game. And bowling is great because it's so accessible. Anyone can play, young or old, man or woman. It doesn't matter. You can just go to the alley, rent some shoes, and start rolling. It's a sport anyone can get into. And number 5. The past viewership of professional bowling, as well as its recent resurgence in recent years, is proof of its popularity and its appeal. Which is a point I'm willing to expand on, but I've got about 10 seconds left.
Wow.
So just at a glance here, before I reset the clock for our
Yeah.
22 and a half minute discussion. I got to say, strong start. Those are some very solid points. And this is going to be a little bit more difficult to dissect.
Yes, I think it will be.
So I will moderate the time here as we go. And Dave, you and I are going to try and work through this here. Ready?
Sure.
Go. All right, so let's start with the point that I think might be the easiest for us to break down here.
Okay.
You open with the point that you get a satisfaction from watching a strike, and while I will agree with you that there is a built-in satisfaction to watching something like that is like the same way that a pile of dominoes is fun to watch topple over. I would argue the point that it may only be satisfying. Not that it's not like innately satisfying to people, but it has certainly is possible for it to be more satisfying to certain people. It's not.
Okay.
It is a satisfying thing, but I would argue that you have to command yourself to be a fan of that sport before it reaches the level of excitement that you are saying it.
I will counter that by tying that into the accessibility point and saying that I feel like most able-bodied people have bowled, and most people who have bowled have at some point gotten a strike.
That's true.
You know how that feels.
Yeah.
Even seeing it can conjure up that feeling of nailing that perfect shot.
I agree with
you know, in a way that, you know, shooting a goal in hockey might not for someone who's never laced up ice skates.
That's true. I will give you, and like I said, this is a very hard one to break down.
That's
because
what she said.
You've made very good points here. But I will just say that I think watching something and participating in something, you have to like for this subject, you have to try and be able to separate those two, even though they are linked on some level.
Sure.
It's not quite the same as performing it. And
no, it's not. But again, the accessibility brings those two worlds closer.
okay. You were going to say something, Dave?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, I think that so your point is that it's one of the most things to spectate on,
Yeah.
right? Which is, I guess I have a harder time arguing that. So I'll stay away from the. But you did because you introduced it as one of your points that anyone can join or learn.
Yes.
Because you opened that door, I feel like an inroads to say that I find bowling to be quite possibly one of the hardest games to play casually with any level of success.
I can give you that because it's easy. Anybody can go out and play, but it's very tough to get good at.
I think you can play soccer very casually, assuming that you can run around and you're not as fat as shit like I am. Assuming that you can do that, you can play soccer very casually and score a handful of goals. And that's kind of fun. Or you can, maybe be a goalie and do half decently against people who are amateurs. But with bowling, because of the nature of the skill level required to break 100 even, most people won't do that. And because a 300 game is this impossibly far away gold standard, I do think it's possible you could argue that it's more frustrating than a lot of other forms of casual play.
I would agree with that. In the same way that golf is.
Well,
Yeah,
possibly, but you yourself said we're talking about the spectating aspect of
Yes.
it.
So,
and
yeah.
when you're comparing bowling to soccer and golf, that brings me back to the third point I made, which is the pace.
Okay, fair point.
Now,
It is much more relaxing a sport than possibly anything else.
correct. Now, I'll give you that. Now, I think we could all agree here at this table that baseball is maybe the most frustrating thing to watch on television because the pacing is all wrong. It takes so long. Everything,
The words delay of game come to mind.
Yeah,
As
right.
we have
Yeah,
talked,
in football,
we have
yeah.
talked multiple
Yeah.
times about the fact that baseball does not have a delay of game
Yeah,
penalty,
right.
and as such, the pacing is thoroughly set by how fast they want to play the fucking game.
Yeah.
Right.
You get so excited when you hear that crack off the bat, but then it just goes foul, and it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, then
why
everyone
is
sits
so
around
much for
chewing
that?
gum and scratching balls for like another 30 minutes, and then
Right.
maybe someone will throw the ball.
Right. Now, I've never sat down and watched a full bowling match, but I've played a full round of bowling with 4 players, and it is paced pretty well. It doesn't. Just knowing that,
I think that's a strong point.
it doesn't. I think you have a very solid point there. That's going to be hard to debate. So I'll move on to the can't get mad part. I would argue that any spectator sport particularly if you end up getting invested in something.
This is a weak point, admittedly.
You can get angry at any spectator sport. Now,
Yeah.
and while I will agree that you made several excellent points, no refs, no penalties, no
Very good point.
no like extenuating circumstances that can ruin the game.
There is no such thing as going back and watching the fucking replay to determine whether
Right,
the
yes.
ball,
Yeah.
whether there were 7 pins or 8 pins.
Yeah, 9 pins got knocked down. That's it. There's no
Right.
Yeah.
But
Very strong
I will
point.
say, if for people who do watch bowling, if you follow a specific player
Yeah.
and you want them to win, any drunk idiot on his couch, if he is serious enough about what he's watching, can get angry. If a player, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Your ability to get angry is directly proportional to your ability to care
Yes.
about the outcome of
Yeah.
the game.
Well, let me move the goalposts a bit and say that
I'll allow it.
say that the citizens of Philadelphia never burned down their city because their favorite bowling player lost.
That's true.
Well,
but
no,
significantly,
that's not even
or
moving the
one
goalposts.
for
I don't
that
think.
matter.
I don't think that's moving the goalposts.
because significantly few people watch bowling and get invested in it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that I think ties into your point directly, is that maybe not enough people do treat it as a serious spectator sport.
Yeah, but those that do, I think it's a bit tempered by the fact that, again, if you ever watch a match of professional bowling, there's no animosity really. There's no bad blood, and I think this comes from the same place as golf in the sense that no one person is playing defense against another person.
It's you versus yourself.
You're right. The performance of your opponent doesn't directly affect your outcome. It might be demoralizing to see your opponent
Sure.
get 4 strikes in a row.
A game that
But-
famously said about golf, a game that cannot be won, only played. I think bowling is very similar in that. It's,
Yeah.
it's just a game that you play against yourself, and coincidentally, you happen to be trying to beat another player.
Yeah, whoever happens to play against themselves better is the one that ends up winning the match.
I would like to talk briefly about point number 1.
Okay.
The visceral satisfaction.
Yeah.
Which you started to touch on.
Yeah.
But I would like to offer a counterpoint to this.
Okay.
Which is to say that satisfaction, you're describing essentially like a strike, I think is most analogous to scoring a goal.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Or completing a pass.
Completing a
And
pass.
it doesn't necessarily even have to be a strike. If you've ever watched some of the spares that these guys can pick up, it's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Right.
Unbelievable exercise and precision.
And it is satisfying. But I would make the argument that it might be more satisfying. And I think with it, we've had this conversation amongst ourselves about like, okay, well, between the, say, NBA and the NHL, what is more satisfying? Point after point after point, no matter how skillful, or the satisfaction of the struggle, the delay, and then the eventual goal that results from that careful, precise arrangement. What's more exciting, 100 points or 3 points?
Yeah, bowling is sort of the opposite in that sense. That's a good point. In that
It's more like the NBA than the NHL.
it's
is my
not. It's
point.
not the exciting aspect of scoring the points. It's the letdown of if you're watching a favorite player, it's the
Sure.
letdown of watching them.
Yeah, you're
miss
right.
one.
Like
You know
it's
what I
like
mean?
it's
Yeah.
generally satisfying, except when it isn't.
Yeah,
which
Correct.
is true.
I would say the lowest point of watching any frame of bowling is watching a hanging 10. You know, watching someone get
Yeah.
9 pins. If you watch someone like roll and have to make a difficult spare, that's satisfying because you want to see them pick it up. If they roll
More satisfying than a strike, I would argue.
if maybe, yeah. If they roll a strike, that's immediately satisfying. If they just roll like something where it's just going to be an easy spare, it's like, all right, this is a given. We're going to watch them roll this one spare. But you're right. The quantity of attempts
Yeah.
and the quantity of strikes, especially in professional bowling, I'll admit is a bit of a downside.
It's really like a question of like it's a question of like your attitudes towards like what is more exciting. Something that you know is very hard that they make look kind of easy
Yes.
sometimes,
right.
or watching something that is like like barely anything good happens until it does. Right? Like, and I don't know that either one of those is objectively more interesting than the other, but I think it's a matter of philosophy.
Correct. I would agree with that. I'm going to jump briefly to the point that you said that anyone can learn, which is true. It's most.
It's not a difficult game to understand. really.
Sure. And there are some games that are played that require a certain level of physicality or a certain level of mental capacity to be able to play. But I would counter that argument with, and this ties into it being one of the best spectator sports. I would counter that argument with a lot of people just don't want to learn, and a lot of people aren't interested enough to follow up with it as, like to watch it like they would watch something like football. It doesn't have that same.
But does that make it less qualified to be a fantastic spectator sport if people aren't willing to learn about it? Like
I think it does in a sense, because even if you don't,
is a diamond any less beautiful if no one is around to appreciate it?
Yeah. Okay.
So I actually think this is one of your stronger points. I think this is one of your stronger points because I think what's embedded in this is the argument that it's easy to play and hard to master, and things like that have longevity.
Yes.
Yeah.
A
Chess.
lot, like most people can play horseshoes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, horseshoes, chess.
Who
Bocce.
can win every time? Like who can do perfectly.
Right.
So there is some staying power to that. I think it's one of your stronger points. But I do think that the discouragement factor is a thing, and I'm not sure if it's just me, but I think a lot of people are very discouraged by bowling. And I don't know why that is.
I would consider myself to be one of those people, and I like bowling. I love going out and getting a couple drinks with you guys.
Oh,
and
yeah.
going bowling. It's a blast, but usually by the end of it, I'm like frustrated with
Right,
myself.
like a little bit pissed off.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that is because it's a thing that seems deceptively easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're not that good at knowing the calibration of the movements of our arm down to a precise
Right.
degree.
Sure.
We just kind of think, well, this is about straightish, and I'm
Right.
about right in
Right.
place.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe it's the subtlety. The same again with golf.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's not like playing pickup basketball or like pickup football where
Yeah.
You fully realize what separates you from the professionals. The professionals condition their bodies every single day. They eat better than you do. They don't drink as much as you do.
Right.
Bowling, that's sort of like kind of
Yeah,
goes
right.
out the window.
There's a lot of tummy bowlers, right? I mean,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Tons of dad buds in bowling,
Sure.
absolutely.
And honestly, to a lesser extent, it is the same in golf, because you have guys like John Daly who drink 18 Diet Cokes a day and smoke cigarettes on the course, and
yeah.
So that's what I'm keep bringing up golf, because that's what I'm like acquainting this to.
Yeah. So look at this too from maybe even also similarly from the perspective of golf. Like it's one thing to watch like an NFL playoff game and be like, come on, like what the hell are you doing? But when you're watching bowling, you'll fully understand, like, oh yeah, I had a roll like that the other day.
Yeah, right. Sure.
It's easier to understand what the players are doing and how each roll comes off their hand and what have you. You can feel it. You can feel a lot better because you've played it, you've experienced it. And so where was I going with this? It ultimately it helps this sense of accessibility. It helps this idea that I had the perfect way to say this too, and I can't remember what it was.
That's all right.
I want to give you the space to think of it.
I guess just in that it helps you become more invested in the game as you watch it.
I get that.
Less armchair coaching and more just like I could see that it came off his hand wrong or
Okay, that's an interesting point you just made, the armchair coaching thing. I actually kind of love that because that's not a thing that ever happens. First of all,
Not in golf, especially.
Never in golf do you go like, oh, dummy, you should have just slightly pivoted your hips a bit.
right.
Like that doesn't happen. And the same in bowling. Like you don't get that frustration angle.
No, I would disagree with that, because
Really?
I watch golf, and if you know how a swing is supposed to be structured, and you can see
Sure.
a player take a golf swing, I if you go out and play with somebody and they chunk a shot, you can pretty much most of the time tell what they did wrong.
So in pro golf, you can watch a shot and be like, I can absolutely
Easily
see what he did.
If-
Sure.
Go out and golf with a couple buddies sometimes,
Okay.
and listen to how many times they'll say, "Oh, you picked your head up," or "Oh, you dipped your shoulder." They'll be, and if you, I would argue that if you're looking for that in bowling, you would still be able to find that. Which
Absolutely.
brings me to a point here. There's not enough people who know enough about bowling for that to be an issue. If enough people understood that and
Well.
understood the form, then I think you would see a lot more of that.
Okay.
Because I watch golfers and I watch guys hook and I'll go, oh, he, you know what I mean? He had his stance open too far. Oh, this. You know
That'll
what I
probably get brought up in my fifth point about viewership.
mean? Yeah, this is a good one to touch on. So
I want to talk about that viewership thing. You said that the past and the present popularity of the sport is proof that it has it has legs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the point?
Professional bowling from 1958 up until the mid 80s to early 90s was huge on television.
That's
it was
true.
something people would gather around and watch a lot of.
yeah.
What happened in the 90s, and it was a bit kind of humorously touched on in that documentary Now.
Yeah, right.
Spoof of
the name of that episode is Any Given Saturday Afternoon, I think.
what happened is that a shitload of other sports suddenly got some mega stars.
Yeah, right.
You know, your Michael Jordans, your Wayne Gretzky's, your Bo Jacksons. You know, the 90s had Joe Montana
Yeah.
and Jerry Rice and John Elway,
Yeah, I was just going to say Elway, Dan Marino.
Dan Marino.
Yeah.
I wonder about that, but I don't want to interrupt you.
So there were a number of reasons that bowling's popularity declined in those years, but it has been picking back up. According to an article from Fox Sports,
Here we go. Here's the meat.
2019 viewership of the PBA World Series of Bowling blew the numbers for 2018 out of the water.
Really?
Viewership is increasing in bowling, and a lot of it has to do with a deliberate initiative by the PBA to get people out and get people bowling more. You'll see people with signs at these tournaments that say "Go Bowling." That's what it is. The Go Bowling program. Just getting people out and learning about the game, and they'll have segments involving again fan letters and tips from the pros and everything. Bowling is picking back up in a big and slightly unexpected way. It's getting backing from a lot of unexpected sources. The PBA was refinanced in the early 2000s by former Microsoft executives who wanted to invest in it and bring it back to the national stage. And it's been picking up quite a bit since then.
Now, the thing is, though, isn't it still as stacked up against something like, and even the NHL in America, which is also increasing viewership.
Yeah.
Compare NHL viewership to bowling viewership. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't bowling still very far down the tree?
I think you don't even need to necessarily answer that with numbers. You can answer it with a simple question, which is, can you name for me? Maybe you can.
Yeah.
But can you name for me a single top modern pro bowler?
I can't.
The only bowler I know is Pete Weber.
P. Weber, right.
The only reason I know
Weber.
him is because he's funny.
He hasn't been around recently. The top player on the world stage right now, one of the more popular ones, he's got a great face for television, is the Australian Jason Belmonte.
Okay.
He's definitely one of the bigger names right now. You've got some unusual left-handers like Rhino Page. You don't see a lot of left-handers in bowling, weirdly. You see a lot more left-handers in baseball, which is strange because bowling is one of those things where you can use either hand and still do just as well. It's a perfectly symmetrical playing field. EJ Tackett is one of the big names on the tour right now.
Now, see, you can, and I will say this. I can name more Formula One drivers, which is way lower as opposed to popularity in the U.S. than even bowling is.
Yeah, in the U.S.
In the U.S. for sure. I was going to say in Europe, F1's probably
But I
pretty
can
big.
Mark Marquez, Lewis Hamilton. You know what I mean? Like there's I can name through a lot, and I don't even watch NASCAR. I can still name you.
Yeah,
NASCAR drivers.
my name
Right.
my name recognition for bowlers is about the same as my name recognition for highlight players.
That and like again, that doesn't say so much about how accessible it is to viewership, but it does say a lot about the state of it. The more popular something is, the more recognizable it is in pop culture. And I
Sure.
still don't think bowling is there yet.
Yeah, all of this is not actually against your point at all.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
None of this refutes the point.
argument is not that bowling is a popular spectator sport, but it is one of the highest quality ones.
Sure. Yeah, I just realized as we're saying this has nothing to do with the actual. But then also maybe your fifth supporting point wasn't so much a strong supporting
Correct.
point. For
And that's
your
maybe
thesis
the
either.
that's
Sure.
maybe the only thing that I'm breaking down.
Yeah,
here.
I guess the purpose behind that point is that it was popular at one point. It's holding on and even coming back. Yeah, like would you rather, for the sake of talking with people at the water cooler the next day, would you rather watch the PBA tour, or would you rather watch an NFL playoff game? It's still it's outclassed in popularity for sure.
But you're right. Like that doesn't have the fact that it has grown by leaps and bounds, even over just 1 year, says something. I do think about the objective enjoyment that can be had out of watching pro bowling.
Absolutely. I think part of it too is a lot of people just might not give it a chance. I have no facts to back that up with, but I think a lot of people might.
I wouldn't know where to watch it.
That was going to be my next point. And it's barely a point, honestly, as compared to what you're trying to say here. I don't know where to watch it, and I don't think that I would personally go out of the way to seek that.
If it was on, I'd watch it with rapt attention.
Agreed.
There are past past broadcasts that are on YouTube, uploaded not only by the PBA but by a couple of dedicated users trying to popularize the sport, and the PBA doesn't bother to take them down either. Really, I think they see it as free publicity pretty much. Yeah, the past ones are on YouTube. I know I've seen it on at West Side Bowl a couple times, but yeah, you pretty much need like a premium sports package to even watch it on live TV without pirating it over the internet.
Can I tell you what I think the most satisfying thing about bowling is? And the whole thing that makes bowling possibly one of the best sports to watch. For me, entirely, it's the sound of the fucking pins.
Yeah.
Yep, that's point number one, the visceral satisfaction.
Yes, there is nothing like that.
agree.
It's a real good
there's
sound.
the sound of a ball in a net, not very exciting. Nor a puck in a net, not very exciting. The sound of a swoosh of a basket, maybe,
Yeah.
but you can't hear that on TV. But the fucking pins.
Yeah,
Yeah. So good.
yeah,
Now,
it's really good.
We have reached the end of your debate. Would you like to summarize anything? Do you need to? Is my question, because I think that Dave and I, as debaters, have clearly failed your topic. No, truthfully, because
How's that?
Because we haven't really done a lot of debating.
I don't know. I mean, we've kind of done a little column A, little column B. I'm being generous.
Not as much as yours, and certainly not as much shit as you guys are going to give me. I think he's done a very good job here of hitting his points and sticking to them and defending them. And I
would
have
agree,
to be
yeah.
I have to be honest with you, and we'll talk about this when we wrap the end of this episode. I had a very hard time defending, or you know what I mean, like counter arguing your point.
I think only one of them was especially weak.
I don't even think especially weak.
I don't know. I mean, I think the idea that you can't get mad was especially weak. I will be just honestly.
Okay.
But the rest of these tick all the boxes for me.
Yeah.
In fairness.
In fairness. So you have a minute here to summarize. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I guess in summary,
Take your time. It's not a dead minute. So
yeah, I guess in summary, the value of a spectator sport can be derived from a few key elements, like its pace, its level of fan excitement, which if you watch any modern bowling tournament, you'll see the fans get way into it.
yes.
And the level of attention that you can feasibly devote to it, which it can be anywhere from the bowler's approach to just the roll. It's a very open-ended and accessible sport that derives a lot of its enjoyment from the fact that you know what it's like to hit some of those rolls. I think it brings the viewer rather closer to the athletes, and I think that in particular holds a lot of value in a spectator sport.
Yeah.
And that's my closing statement.
I think you did very well there, buddy.
Thank you.
One thing we didn't even talk about here, but I'll just briefly bring it up. It's not an argument at all, but it's interesting to me. One of the big differences between bowling and a lot of other things is the size of the crowd. It's awfully small by comparison.
Sure.
Even
and
like-
I wonder what that says about the fact that it may be inherently more intimate. You don't
Sure.
want to see that from a fucking
Yeah.
200 feet.
And
Like,
they're also just right there. You know,
Yeah,
they're
right.
right up on the gutter of the leftmost lane. You know,
Even when
It's
you watch
interesting.
something like the World Series of Darts,
yeah.
or for that matter, the Johnsonville Bratwurst Cornhole Tournament every year. Those are still things that are held in grandstands, and those are still
Yeah.
things that are relatively packed.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think there is something to be said for the intimacy there. The only other game that's played competitively that I can think of with that small of a crowd would be billiards.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
And even that crowd is, I think, probably twice as big.
It is bigger. Yeah, it is. It is definitely larger. Yeah. Okay. So I think you made a good point there. We're gonna talk a little bit more about everybody's summaries at the end, and we're gonna kind of compare and contrast here. Thank you. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, all right.
Hey, that was a very quick jump cut that you didn't even know about.
Yeah. Woo! And we're back.
We're back.
Still doing this.
Which brings us to what the dog just
What's he doing?
What are you doing?
He looks sad. Come over
Well,
here, animal.
fuck him.
He's actually being really nice, and I'm
He is.
all
I
right
would,
with
but
this.
Dave's here. Anyway, so we need to go to my topic now, which, if you remember, was the first one we introduced. And that topic was that, and I forget the exact verbiage I used, but the idea is going to be pretty much the same here. Country music songwriters and country music artists are some of the most talented songwriters, if not the most talented songwriters. I think what I said exactly was, and I'll stick to it, country music songwriters are better songwriters than any other form of popular music, and I'm going to defend that.
And do so.
Okay.
You have the floor, Fred.
So let me start with my 2.5 minutes. I have also, for the sake of brevity and for the sake of organization, structured mine into 5 neat points because that seemed to be the trend.
Seems to be working.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to go with here. I'm going to open with my first point, which, quite frankly, is crucial to my argument. And the rest of my points will kind of branch off of this. And that is that simplicity is key in popular music. You can read many, many quotes from many, many artists justifying this, saying that the most important thing is to not overthink your song. Carole King once said of her late husband and songwriting partner that the reason that he was so good is that he was able to boil down abstract and complex ideas into very simple and easy to understand language. And that's pretty key in a lot of popular songwriting. That would lead me to my next point, which is that country songwriters have a better connection and rapport with their audiences than other artists because they know who they're marketing to, and that's like small town America. You okay over there? No, I say,
You want to pause for a second? What's
No,
going
you're-
on with your arm?
okay.
Nothing. I just waited to see who noticed first.
No, I kept looking at you going, what
thought
the
you were, like,
fuck are you
loosening up.
Yeah,
doing?
I'm just like, yeah, just limbering up, but I was doing it over and over. Just to see.
No, you've been doing it for 1 minute and 17 seconds.
that's okay. That's okay.
So anyway, rapport with their fan base.
They have a rapport with their fan base, and that boils down to specifically they know exactly who they're marketing their music to, and they know what will register with their audiences. And in that sense, they are super successful as songwriters. My third point is that there is a stick-to-itiveness that you see in country music that you don't really get to the same extent in other popular music, and in fact, to a much lesser degree in other forms of music. Rap, rock music, you don't see the same kind of drive in songwriting. And what I mean by this is that most country artists write their own songs or partner with other famous country songwriting artists. And not just like let them write for them, partner with them, work together to create something.
Okay.
Fourth point, simplicity means catchiness, which gives a better opportunity for hooks, which is crucial in popular songwriting. You don't see the use of hooks shine through quite so much as you do in a very catchy country chorus.
Okay.
And the final point is that country has a staying power and can always inspire a dance or a tear from its faithful listeners. So its ability to invoke emotion shines through, I would say, far more in country than any other genre of music. And I will give you a good example for that when you guys get to that point.
Okay.
In the meantime, let's start it off.
Well,
So I'm going to counter first of all by saying Motown.
Okay. Motown is dead, though. Motown's gone.
he's right. Motown is super dead. For whatever that's worth. I mean, like, it's not that like that kind of music is necessarily completely dead, but I mean,
Motown evolved.
yeah, it became something else.
And not that country music has not evolved, but Motown evolved
It
into
super has.
Motown evolved into different genres of music. Country
Sure.
music is still country music.
Let's talk about that for a second. Let's define what we're talking. There's a lot of definitions we actually kind of have to nail down. What do you consider country music versus not actually country music? Do you
well-
consider pop country?
I you know what? For the sake of the argument, yeah, I think I have to.
Okay.
As much as it pains me to say that, because I'm not necessarily the largest fan of that genre, but I think for this, that is the next logical step in its evolution. It is still country music.
Okay.
Can you differentiate for me your first and fourth points?
Yeah, simplicity is key versus simplicity is catchy and hooks. And
Simplicity is key lyrically speaking. In that, in order to
Okay.
formulate your concepts, you want to boil down something as abstract and complex as love or loss. If you're trying to make it popular and you're trying to make it, you're trying to make it identify with your listeners, you want to make that as simple as possible, lyrically speaking. Simplicity means catchiness goes along with the music. That is the completed song. That's the
Gotcha.
the mix of the chord structure with the actual hook of the song. There's more opportunities for hooks. in
So,
country
okay,
music.
so you're talking about lyrics as opposed to the overall structure of the song,
Correct.
and the composition.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
yeah, because that for me is actually kind of a thing that. So I feel like tell me if I'm misrepresenting you here, but on your first point, if simplicity is key in lyrics, in message, the idea that you're trying to convey is that there's something somewhat very approachable, direct, and most importantly, highly relatable about country music
Yes.
lyrics and concepts.
Absolutely.
And to that point, I would actually say I think it's quite the opposite.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually think country music speaks to and identifies with an increasingly small number of people.
This will tie into point number 2, in which I would say I would take appealing and replace it with the word pandering.
Sure. I would agree with that. Doesn't hip hop music do that too?
Oh yeah, it super does. Yeah, that's the thing is like I think
And furthermore, is that a bad thing?
all music attempts to find its audience.
Yes.
And by attempting to find its audience, or in attempting to find its audience, what it often does is like grasps at something that that will reach a large audience. Tries to arrive at something appealing, right? Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
it's all pop.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. I guess it depends what you mean by the best songwriters, or because I used the same argument with my brother in defense of AC/DC.
Okay.
Who he feels is pop classic rock. You know, who he feels is
That's coming.
marketable classic rock.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
that's only through modern eyes. Back in the 70s and 80s, that was not the case.
Yeah, I think they're very
Direct
much
opposite.
just
Right.
like the rest of classic rock.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, my defense at the time though was, if they're able to market those lyrics to a large population, they're doing something right.
Correct.
But is it best? How are you measuring, like, in terms of their popularity, or
Country
in terms
music-
of like artistic integrity?
Except for what you would hear on popular rap stations, country music is the second most popular form of music in the country right now. That's a fact. They dominate the charts still consistently, as evidenced by that Old Town Road song, which, as again, is a fusion song, but it is on the country charts.
I think that's a good point, actually. The fusion thing is, well, okay, so your argument is that they're the most successful or the most talented?
I I said best.
Best.
Extrapolate from that what you will.
Okay, so when I hear best, I'm thinking like objectively highest quality on some scale. However you arrange that.
However you identify with that scale.
Right.
Correct.
So I would say this. I don't think simplicity in any form can ever be best.
Okay. There's a lot of songwriters who disagree with you.
I'm sure. I mean, the thing is, no. I mean, you're right. Like the most popular music, the most selling music, the most accessible music is always the simplest music.
Sure.
There's no doubt about that, and especially music that like taps into some like long established patterns that we like the things that our brains gravitate towards in music. Like,
Sure.
There's a reason that the verse chorus kind of thing works for us. There's a reason that certain chord progressions
Right.
work. There's the circle of fifths kind of thing that always works. Like,
Sure.
there's a reason that our brains respond to certain things.
Yes.
But it's best is a little bit nebulous. I would say you could say that the most successful things are the best, or you could say the most difficult to pull off things are the best.
That's only through the eyes of somebody who's seeking for those things, though.
Sure.
I'm talking as a popular, quick listen, something that's catchy, something that stays in your craw. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
like things that
lyric-
stick around.
Lyrically speaking, even complex music can still feature pretty simple lyrics. The idea is boiling a concept that's abstract or an idea down to something that an idiot can identify with. Any moron on the street.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'll give you a good example. There's a I know
Joe Plumber.
there's an is it Alan Jackson or Randy Travis? It's a Randy Travis song. He writes a song. I can't remember what it's called now, but there's a line in the song that's he's talking about. Oh God! All right, well I'll come back to it. I'll get there.
Okay.
but
Let's see.
give me a second.
Let's see. So you said that their rapport with the fan base, by itself, is a measure of, I guess we'll say, bestness, greatness, right?
I just remembered the song. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, I'll come back to that.
Randy Travis song. It's called "Forever and Ever Amen." The hook of the song. You know that song. Everybody knows that song, right?
I don't think I
I'm
did.
gonna love you forever and ever.
Forever and ever,
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, so the main chorus of that song is "I'm gonna love you forever, forever and ever, amen." As long as old men sit and talk about the weather, as long as old women sit and talk about old men. That is a very clever songwriting trick to extrapolate an emotion, right? And if that doesn't make you go, "Oh, okay," I don't know.
There's something kind of funny about that idea.
But it's a really that's a really hooky hook, and it's sung well and it's written well, and
But like right there, I could be okay. Maybe okay, not to get like too in the weeds, but like I kind of think that shows a little bit of lack of imagination. Those
disagree.
lyrics show a bit of lack of imagination, and I'll tell you why. Old women talk about way more than old men. I don't think that lyric works.
that's not what he's saying though. He's saying that okay, but you can picture that, right? A group of women sitting around on a porch talking about their husbands.
Yeah, but I could picture a bunch of men sitting around talking about their wives.
Absolutely.
It's weird that he deviated. It's weird that I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
You're looking at that from very specific cynic eyes, I think.
That's true.
I think as an emotional response though, you get that though, right? I mean, you understand what he's saying.
Yeah,
That's just one example. I have,
suppose I
have
do.
many more.
Now,
I suppose I do.
Now, I think rapport with your fan base has to come from a certain place of mutual connection. And when I look at someone like Blake Shelton or what's his face with the squat head, wears the hat all the time. He's in the commercials with oh my God, Peyton Manning.
You're talking about Brad Paisley.
Brad
Oh, that's
Paisley,
him.
thank you. When I look at
The
those guys
Nationwide.
and seeing them, guest judging on The Voice or whatever, I don't think of them driving a pickup truck out into a cornfield and having a party where girls take their shirts off and drink light beer. I think of them pulling a $200,000 car into a $500,000 garage.
But the thing is, those guys came up doing that.
I think this is your strongest point.
That those guys
of them?
did do most of them, and even if they didn't, the fans don't know or don't care. They're singing about stuff that the fans identify with.
Outside of that, I think that country singer-songwriters do this better than any other genre for a specific reason.
Yeah.
Which is that the next closest it's funny, like country and rap are like weirdly really connected.
Absolutely.
They're very similar, but they're talking to totally different audiences.
Country and punk rock too, but that's a different argument for a different time.
But I think that the thing that country stars do that like rappers don't do as successfully is country stars sell the fact that they are on the level.
Yes.
The entire reason that you like follow and idolize like a rap, like
The exact
like a rap
opposite.
is the opposite. You aspire to them. They are
it's
way up there,
and that's switched,
and they're
That's something
talking
that-
themselves up. Like
Correct.
that's the whole idea.
Yeah,
That's
it's
swagger.
always been about bravado. Yeah,
Country music is exactly the opposite, and I think it speaks to that rapport.
right.
They're,
and again,
they're rich as hell, but they don't sell it that way.
No, and that goes back to knowing your audience. They know the people they're marketing to. Blue collar,
Yep.
Southern boys in trucks and Southern women with,
Yeah.
big old 10-gallon hats and tube tops.
Now you could say that they're lying,
Sure.
and you should.
And you could.
actually.
Yeah.
you should.
That goes back to pandering. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
they're crazy rich. What they sell is the things about them that haven't changed.
Yes.
Which is that they like the lawn and they
Yeah,
like
right.
being outside and they
Exactly.
like drinking beer.
What major genre doesn't pander except for jazz?
That's actually, at a quick thought, I don't know if I can.
Yeah.
Well, like Prague. What is Prague? Prague is just nerds,
Yeah, right. Sure. Right.
right?
Yeah.
But like in general, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by stick-to-itiveness?
I was going to ask that.
Stick-to-itiveness, meaning that country stars tend to have very, very long, drawn-out careers. And when I say stick-to-itiveness, I more specifically mean the get up and go and do it yourself attitude. Most of these guys write their own music or partner with older country songwriters who've written music for a long time. And it's not typically like, I'm giving you this song. It's we're going to work it out together to make it happen. They also partner a lot together on songs.
This could be true, but I have to tell you, on the face of it, I'm not sure if it is.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is like, I feel like, case in point, Lady Gaga, right? Someone who basically went unrecognized for an eternity.
Yeah.
Wrote for all kinds of genres, including
Yes.
country music.
Yes.
And we didn't know who she was until she started wearing clothes made out of meat or whatever
right.
weird shit she was into.
Sure.
So
Yeah, every genre has things like that.
I think it's worth noting that there's a lot of that. Like,
Absolutely.
maybe especially in country music, because there's like you find out country songs were written by people that you never heard of all the time, right? And like, didn't even Dolly Parton write a shit ton of stuff for other people?
Lots. Dolly Parton has a very rich
Right.
catalog. Dolly Parton is a country artist, though, and she
Right.
also not just gifted those songs, but partnered with many of those artists to make those songs. That's what I'm saying, is that they tend to. And when guys take other songs, okay, Garth Brooks, arguably his most famous song is "I Got Friends in Low Places."
Yeah.
That was from an older songwriting duo who you've probably never heard of, but they helped him with the production of that song. They helped him work out the hook. They helped him work out the chord structure.
Yeah.
They just had the lyrics written down.
I just sort of feel like this point is not like a win or loss in your argument. I just kind of feel, unless you can persuade me otherwise, I feel like country music does what a lot of every other genre does, which is like, with few exceptions, like songwriters are.
Stealing is stealing, and yeah, that's most music. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree with
Yeah.
that. I'm more saying that the drive to perform is there, that you see, way more with country music. You see
Yeah.
that drive. You see that. I'm going to work with this team. I'm going to play. You never see country singers getting tired of singing their own songs. How about that?
I'll take that.
Sure.
Actually, it's interesting. Like there are a lot more like lifelong careers.
Yes, very few prima donnas in country. Alan Jackson, perfect example, still making music. Willie Nelson, perfect example, still making music.
Somehow.
Johnny Cash into his 70s, still making music and still popular.
He's also dead.
Yes, but when he was alive, but my point is, when he was alive, he had a career that spanned from the 50s up into the 2000s.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't get like one-hit wonders in country as much.
No, you'll
Right?
get 2 or 3 hit wonders, but most of those guys,
Dixie Chicks.
yeah,
Even the Dixie Chicks are still doing shit, right?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, they just fell out of favor because they didn't like President Bush.
Because they were Democrats.
They were
yeah.
the only they were the only country stars to be like George Bush sucks. And people ate them alive.
Yeah, right. Well, and the thing is, Dixie Chicks, that's more going back to the roots of country. Very, very bluegrassy kind of sound, which I would say I love.
Dixie in the name, which is itself a little bit.
I love bluegrass music.
It's real
love
good.
Super good, super complex musically speaking. Very impressive. And there's still evidence of it today. The Dixie Chicks are a perfect example of that. Actually.
There's a low key love affair between traditional Irish folk and traditional bluegrass
Yes.
that exists in the music world, and I love that exists.
Yeah, a lot of the same instruments, a lot of the same instrumentation, a lot of the same chord patterns.
That's the thing about country music that's actually really interesting is that I feel like you guys will probably know what I'm talking about. I can't remember what it's called, but very recently something hit the top of the country charts and it caused a whole bunch of stir because it was a largely electronic rap piece.
Yeah, is it Old Town Road? I'm gonna take
was it Old Town
my
Road? It probably
horse
was Old
to
Town
the
Road.
Old Town
Yeah, actually, it
Road.
probably was.
Yeah, yeah. It features a Nine Inch Nails sample.
But
How
the thing is,
about that?
it really pissed people off.
Yeah.
The fact that it hit that place and didn't sound traditionally
You know
country.
what? It pissed some people off, but it still was number one on the country charts.
Well, right. But that's the thing is someone had to make the decision to keep it on the country charts
Yes.
because a lot of people didn't think it should be.
Sure.
And that's largely because of I think the strictures of country music. Like there's gotta be all these elements or it's not country. And I think that song defied that.
It is the next logical step in its evolution, though, and they've been following that pattern for the last 10 years.
It's a point in their credit that it's still on the country charts.
Yes, yes,
I will say that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the next point is simplicity with relation to the composition of the song, the structure of the
Catchiness,
song.
hooks, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like again, best is pretty loose. It's kind of hard to talk about this.
It's how you identify best personally. I'm going to leave that open
How
to
do
you guys.
you identify best?
Something that I want to sing along to, something that I can get behind.
Right.
I'm not an enormous country music fan, but I've heard more catchy country hooks than I can think of ever hearing in popular rock music or popular hip hop music. For me, the hooks in hip hop music come more from just the production aspect, from the beats. That's where you see that. Country is a
Beats are everything in hip hop.
correct.
The whole fucking song
falls-
can't be
if-
good if the beat sucks.
Falls apart if there's nothing behind it.
You
Right.
need like the beat
Correct.
is everything.
Yeah,
Right.
Country is the melding of both of those things. Lyrically, really catchy, hooky kind of lyrics with a really simple, catchy, hooky kind of backbeat to it.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess the only thing I want to bring up with that is does simplicity in song composition really make for a better songwriter than someone who experiments and explores? Like someone who fucks around with their time signatures or opts for a key change in the middle of the song. Someone who's willing to experiment and take risks.
I'm glad you brought this point up. To that, I would direct you to the Beatles, whose career and experimental phase
son of a bitch.
would not have been possible had they not released their first 5 albums based on simplicity and hookiness alone.
That is a killer point. That in and of itself makes me I have to bow to
They
that.
Yeah,
justified their entire experimental phase by being the biggest band in the world. And how did they get there? They got there with simplicity.
Like beyond simplicity.
Correct.
In fact, some of their early stuff is so simplistic
Yeah.
that even like to me, like right now, a modern listener with a little bit of an appetite for something kind of a little bit screwy.
sure.
Like it's so simple that I almost don't want to listen to the really early stuff.
Sure. Well, that's what Paul McCartney said it best. He said a lot of our very early work was, talking directly to the listener. I want to hold your hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things like that.
Pandering.
Pandering. Exactly.
Right.
That entire experimental phase for the Beatles that music nerds love to remember, myself included, would not have been possible had they not spent the entire early part of their career, A, making themselves a really tight band, and B, more importantly, keeping it simple and writing music that people wanted to hear.
Let's ask ourselves a question. When is Brooks and Dunn going to do their super crazy concept album?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Like,
where's
why
the-
isn't that happening? Like,
where's-
what does that mean?
Where's the transition from someone who's just really good at making catchy rhythms and chord progressions into someone who's
When is Garth Brooks going to record himself farting in a fish tank for 2 hours?
Hello,
Like,
my name is Bjork.
hello.
No, but they don't.
again, that's not to say experimentation is always good.
Right.
Okay, this
Right.
is another good point. Rock music is a little bit more open to experimentation than country music is, only because the fan base in country music demands a structure.
Isn't that a weakness of the genre, though?
It's a weakness of the fan base.
It's a weakness of the fan base. I don't know if it's a weakness of the genre. And I will counter that with this. Johnny Cash was, and Waylon Jennings for that matter, two long country careers, both guys who did pretty serious experimentation. Cash especially. When he got into his older years, he was covering Soundgarden songs. He was covering Nine Inch Nails.
So now here's the thing, though. You're bringing up a lot of country artists from the past. But when I brought up Motown earlier, the past didn't seem to matter much.
Okay, that's a fair point. I only bring that up because most Motown guys only had a career for the 6 years that existed. Johnny Cash had a 50-year career. 60-year career, excuse me.
But when you get into the acts that persist, like I saw Lionel Richie 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Literally 3 years ago. You get into the acts that have stood the test of time, the Commodores, some of the people that even have been lost, the fact that they're gone or that their careers had come to a close, doesn't mean that the quality of their songwriting shouldn't be factored in.
I agree with that. I'm not saying that Lionel Richie's a bad songwriter. I'm saying he didn't have a 60-year career.
So we're running a little low on time.
We are.
But I really want to address this thing because this for me will probably shape overall how I feel about how you've argued this point.
Okay. Oh, God.
I know. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to give you lots of time to address it.
Okay.
Distinguish for me the difference between best and most commercially successful. Because I feel like a large amount of this hinges on this sells the most or this will continue to sell the most. But there's a disconnect for me between that and what I think of as best.
Correct.
Which is like the most has the most objective value in some other way aside from how much it sells, how many people listen to it, how difficult it is.
Artistic merit,
which is nebulous and impossible
difficult to
argue.
quantify.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
And that's the thing is it's tough to argue that only because it's specific to you. Sure. I'm taking my very specific understanding of songwriting and how songwriting works and applying it to this argument as I see it.
I have to get into your head in order to decide whether you convince me. I have to know what you mean when you say best. So I have to take it your way.
I will tell you that I'm not looking at it as commercially successful. That is an aspect of my argument.
Okay.
But I'm saying that I will put an older country song on, and as much as I hate to admit it, I will listen to that stupid Old Town Road song on the whenever it comes on. I've put it on my Google Home or Google Play Music before, and I'll sing along with every fucking word of that stupid song.
I just got it. That sold it for me. Because what you're actually saying isn't that it's the most saleable or the most popular.
Yeah.
It's that it's those things because of a pre-existing reason.
Yes.
Which is that it is the most delicious.
It is both.
It's those things because it has
it
a
is
value.
the most hooky, and it is also incidentally it happens to be the most popular.
Holy shit.
I love Primus. I wouldn't love Primus any less if they somehow made it into the top 40.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That just, I gotta tell you, you just pulled like a Mr. Rogers where it's like, all right, you have your funding. You've convinced me. You've convinced me on that one.
So I'll just I think we touched most of what my closing would be here, throughout the entire debate. But I think. As a listener, as someone who really appreciates music and listens to a lot of different kinds of music, and I say that in the least, I listen to everything kind of way. I mean, like I actually will go through and destroy a genre of music just digging into it, and I go through phases with that. Whenever I put on country songs, whether they be, and again, I hate to say it because I'm not the largest fan of some of the newer stuff, whether they be old or newer, I find myself getting hooked onto them.
Yeah.
I find myself singing along with the words, even though I've only maybe heard the song a couple times. They stick in my craw more than a lot of other popular stuff that comes out. I just tend to identify with the lyrics and I tend to sing along with them. And whether I want to admit it or not, I like doing that.
All right. Well,
Wow. Damn. Well, that was interesting.
Yeah. I think we've reached the end of our official debate. So I guess the only other thing to do we need to break?
Yeah, I think we need to take a quick break here. We'll come back with a little bit of a round table on this, and then we'll, I guess, recommendations?
Recommendations, what we learned.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. God, this feels like a long episode.
It is going to be a long episode.
Yeah.
That's why originally my plan was to do 30 minutes, and that's just way too long to make everybody
Yeah.
suffer through this. But I think at the table, it felt very quick, didn't it?
It did,
It
actually.
felt
Yeah,
very quick.
absolutely.
So I hope that this is a format that we'll use again,
I hope so, too.
because this was a lot of fun.
We might be able to cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
But in general...
Which is going to be hard because we have a lot to say, obviously.
I'd love to do this again.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll talk in a bit about
Right.
what we thought about the whole thing, and a little bit of a wrap up, right?
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
Yo, VIP. Let's kick it. Pressing down on me, pressing down on you. Under pressure, I'm feeling coming down all around my it's people on streets. Ba, ba, bang. People on the streets. Eat that up. Eat it up. It's the terror of knowing what this world is about. Watching some good friends scream, let me out.
Like Jerry. Remember when he kept screaming that all the time?
I remember
Oh,
Jerry.
God, fuck that.
Yeah.
What an asshole.
What a fucking piece of shit. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. I guess we're gonna do this rapid fire wise.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we don't want to make you guys listen too much of our little voices.
We don't?
We don't.
Wait, hold on. We don't?
We have an hour and a half of previous content that
As
says
three
otherwise.
nearly middle-aged men who do a podcast twice a month where we make people listen to us
Yeah.
for sometimes as much as 3 hours at a time, I have a hard time believing we don't want to make them listen to us too
The
much.
debate's over.
Oh, right.
No, we're gonna go to the just the final roundup for all the quote unquote debating. I guess it was somewhere between discussion and debate, which is a little more confrontational than what we
Right,
normally do.
I think, yeah, right. A little bit more, but also like a friendly version of a debate. I like that about
it involved three people, so it definitely qualifies as a mass debate. We definitely masturbated each other.
We did.
We masturbated
lot.
each other for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are all like super good with your words. You're like super like sharp, very cunning, like very cunning linguist, I think.
You know,
So you're very-
linguistically, I do think we're cunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to believe I'm a cunning linguist.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I try to. I when I think cunning linguist, I think Dave
Yeah.
Bukowski.
Yeah. I also eat pussy in my spare time.
Same. Nice.
So anyway,
So anyway, let's round it up here.
All right, yeah. How do you want to do this? This is your thing. How do you want to do
So
this?
let's start with this. Who do we think had the best points? And who do we think? Let's start with best points. Who had the best points at this table?
Okay, let me look back at some of the notes I took here. I think that Ben provided the most points. I had the least to argue with.
I would agree with that. I think, successfully speaking, you had the strongest foundation, and only because Dave and I we had struggled to think of what to do.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a very tough point to argue, and
I think quite a bit of what you put down here as your main driving topics, or your I guess your points, right, were I don't know. You framed it well. Like
did.
who can argue with the visceral satisfaction of a strike, or like who can argue with that? Like
you can't, no, because there's just some things that are inherently satisfying, and that's a tough point to counter.
yeah, and I do think that I found more to quibble with in your arguments.
Sure.
But that's not to say overall that I think I was more persuaded by one of you than the other. Like that's a separate
I would
question.
agree. Yeah,
Like-
I would agree.
Yeah. It's tough to decide who my vote goes to because Nostalgia Lies is a really, really strong point.
Super valid point.
That I can't really argue too much against because I've experienced that
Right.
way too often.
Again, to the point. When's the last time you bought a box of Oreo O's? They've been back for 2 years.
Yeah, never. I've bought a box or two of Waffle Crisp, but that's still just as good as I remember. But Cinnamon Toast Crunch, not as good as I remember, and that used to be my favorite cereal.
Ooh, this is where we disagree.
Dude, that's them's fighting words at this table.
I still think that might be the best cereal that
It
exists.
is obviously the clear
It
winner.
tastes different to me. I can't explain how.
The debate portion is definitely over, but I will fight you afterwards for a very long time about this. Anyway, though, to the point, from my perspective, I think that Ben, you provided the best arguments in general.
Yours from where you started was the most defensible position, and I have to say, I think you, and we'll get to that. I think you successfully defended it to a degree.
Awesome.
Dave's yours was, I think, the most complex because it was only in the sense that it was a very different kind of subject than what Ben and I were arguing.
Yeah, I think that might be true.
And that is a tougher, like I had more opportunity to argue your points.
Yeah, like we both talked about specific mediums. You tackled an entire like range of mediums over an entire time period.
Ben and I were
Yeah.
pretty focused in our argument as to
Yeah.
what we wanted to say.
You're right. There were substantially different arguments.
Yours, you hit 5 very broad points that are all very good points, but very broad points within the same topic.
Give me a lot of ground and not a whole
Yes.
lot of time to get very, very narrow on it.
Correct.
Which I think probably, if I'm being realistic, probably hurt me a little bit, I think.
Only because this was long format debate.
Right.
Maybe if this was taken down to like 15 minutes of time, that would have been much tougher.
I think you're right.
And it was hard. It didn't take away anything from your overarching point. It just gave us more opportunity to banter with you.
Yes.
Which is how any debate is lost. The more time you let something breathe, the harder it is to articulate your point.
That's true. You got to have a laser focus to
Yeah.
really be effective in debate, I think.
Yeah.
Who do we think had the best topic?
The best topic? Like as in the the best argument to begin with, or the like what do you mean?
I
by
would
that?
say who made the best choice defensively speaking.
Chris.
like the most defensible argument, like off the bat.
No, just like I don't know how I'm wording this incorrectly.
Trying to say who persuaded who the most.
We should probably just word it like that.
I think that was originally the idea.
Who persuaded who the most? I have to go with Ben because Ben was able to persuade us with just his opening argument. In the 2.5 minutes that you broke down your points, you basically crippled anything that Dave and I could argue.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I think I was more persuaded by your argument, Chris, than Ben's. In fairness, I think he did a very good job on his opening, but still, I walked out of that with the idea that, like, yeah, bowling's good. Is it the best? I don't know.
Okay.
You persuaded me that bowling is great.
I will tell you that you persuaded me to
best.
watch bowling.
I'll say that too.
I never would have done that. I think from it was definitely you from my position. I think you really kind of hammered it home.
I'm agreeing with David. I'm saying you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you did. You had the hardest job.
I had the hardest sell. I think.
Yeah, you did. You had
Yeah.
the hardest
I did have
sell,
the hardest
which
sell.
means the fact that you kind of turned my ear to it, for me, makes you the winner of this thing. Because
okay.
Yeah, I would agree. with that.
I would have disagreed, full stop, disagreed at the
Yeah.
beginning of this. But right there at the end, I think you kind of qualified something for me that was kind of inarticulable before, or how do you say that? I don't know. It was like it's hard to describe what best means, but through the lens you provided it, I came around to that.
Okay.
That made
Yeah.
sense to me.
Yeah. All right. I would say the same thing goes to your argument. And the only reason I'm not picking you, Dave, is because you had such a broad thing. And
I think mine was like, I think no one would argue with that realistically.
yeah.
That's my personal opinion. I think I set up an argument that was Like, we all like to think that our childhood was better, but I think we all kind of know in
No,
our guts that it's better
not.
to be.
Yeah, it is.
I definitely had a better time in college than I
Absolutely.
did
Right.
ever in
It's
high
much
school.
better to be grown up.
right there, I think it's a disqualifier for the win. Is like, if we think about it a little bit, it's really easy to arrive
It
at
would.
that.
I will say it's an easy thing to try and counter argue.
Sure.
For purely nostalgia purposes.
But like right in your gut, you kind of know.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you because at first you said that and I was like, oh, I don't think so. And then when we were, the longer we got a couple weeks to breathe on this, the more I
Yeah.
thought about it, and
Yeah.
I was like,
I think,
well, okay.
I think honestly, if you were to just take the point nostalgia lies and just make that the frame of the entire argument,
Ooh, good point.
That would be a much more defensible position. I think.
Right. That would have given me more ground to cover in general.
It also would have given me more to argue against.
Yes. It gives me the most to gain. Like, that's a good
Yeah.
way of thinking about this. Is like, where was your baseline? Where was your baseline on this topic when you started?
Yeah.
And where did you end up? And who traveled the group the farthest?
Right.
And I think that's why Chris wins this one.
Well, thank you.
He traveled us the
Yeah.
farthest.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is that official? I mean, I think Chris wins.
I think Chris wins.
Thank you.
Honestly.
Well done.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
We will definitely do this again. We were kind of talking off mic about it. I think what we're going to end up doing is not making it anybody's like hosting job to say, okay, well, my topic is going to be
Yeah.
a debate this week. I think from now on we're definitely going to do it again, but we're going to do it as this is just a set debate, and we're not going to stick to the exact same format that we normally do with the podcast.
Debates won't be a Chris episode. They'll just be an like
Episode.
interstitial episode.
Purely,
Sure.
purely for brevity's sake, we're not going to make you listen to the whole shebang.
So does that mean you're hosting next week?
No, actually, I think we should go like this. Just because this is the first one, I think we should go back to you, and then I'll
Okay,
have another
sure.
topic, and
All
we'll,
right.
you know what I mean.
But yeah, well done. Honestly, that was a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate that going as well as it did. I thought we were gonna like flounder on the format, but it just kind of came together, and that was awesome. So,
We can always find stuff to talk about, us three, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have any problems there.
Yeah,
so that means
it's time for recommendations.
it's time for recommendations. God damn it!
Well, let's start with you, Dave. What do you got for us this week?
I have a recommendation, and it is I don't remember if you recommended it before, Ben. But if you did, allow me to second it. The return of the Obra fucking Din.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, Bo. I didn't mean to punch you in the shoulder
I don't
blade
think
there.
he minds. He's wagging his tail. You can punch him in the shoulder blade all you
he's a
goddamn
terrible
want.
puppy.
Yeah, it wasn't very hard.
Anyway, the return of the Obra Dinn. If we haven't talked about it, I can't remember. Do you remember?
I
If we have.
do not remember.
So
honestly.
in case we haven't, I'm gonna lay it out kind of generally.
You did, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
because that is the entire reason that I remembered that name when you brought it up again.
So the general idea of this game is that
General idea?
is that you are a insurance inspector who has been brought to a boat that has just sort of drifted back to the mainland that has been missing for years. You have in your aid a pocket watch which has been given to you. You don't really know what it is when you start out the game. You hop on deck, you start looking around, and you find a dead body. And when you find the dead body, the pocket watch starts to vibrate, and you activate it. And what happens is you see the last moments of the life of that person.
Yeah.
And in so doing, you start a series of investigations in which you're tasked with determining who the person is, how they died, and who killed them, if anyone.
If anyone, yeah.
And every time you do that correctly, more bodies appear for you to investigate along the chain of the story of the deaths. And there's several chapters. There's 40 some odd people. Are there more? Maybe 60?
There's something like 60-ish.
60 some people, various fates, and you only get that one singular frozen moment of their death with a little bit of a voiceover ahead of time. So you have to use the context clues available to you to determine who everyone is, how they died, who was involved, all of that.
Yeah.
So, having said all of that long-winded bullshit, it is incredibly fun. It is so much fun. It is so hard. It's actually,
It's very difficult.
at times, I think it's too hard, in fairness.
Some of those clues are really devious and really difficult to find.
I think for most people of average intelligence, it's probably too hard. I had to resort to a few clues of the format of like pay attention to this person and their motivation, and then you will have an idea of who they're talking to.
Yeah.
Those kind of clues. But it's very, very hard to do without any help at all.
It is. I definitely had to brute force a few things, and then I looked up like, okay, what was I supposed to be looking for here? And
Yeah.
some of the answers are just like, are you kidding me?
The trick is being incredibly observational.
Yeah.
Noticing things like you can't see a body or a face, but you can see shoes,
Yeah.
and who those
That's a big
shoes
one.
belong to.
That's a big one.
Like crazy stuff. So you really have to pay attention, but it's a lot of fun. It's fairly cheap. What is it, like under 20? It's like 15 bucks.
It's sub 20 right now. Yeah.
Yeah, right now in the Steam sale anyway. And it might actually be back to a regular price anyway, but
Yeah.
I can't recommend this game enough. It's super fun. Play it. It's visually beautiful. It's very complicated,
Amazing soundtrack.
and it pays off. Yeah, the soundtrack is incredible, and it pays off in a huge way.
Yeah.
So, play Oberdin. That's
yeah.
it.
All right. Ben, what do you got for recommendations?
I'm gonna recommend Giordano's.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever go to Chicago,
classic.
If you ever go to Chicago, go to Giordano's. We're gonna be getting one nearby. Christy says.
Yeah, I heard that. Do you remember where?
I don't know.
It's
It's
like Akron area.
yeah, it's somewhere like out west ish.
Yeah.
But holy shit, I'm so excited. I can't begin to tell you. Apart from proposing, a huge part of the reason I was excited to go to Chicago
Yeah.
was the food.
Yeah.
We already knew we were
Goddamn deep
we were
dish.
going to get this dinner at Shanghai Terrace, and then we already knew I was a little insistent on this. I need to have a Chicago deep dish pizza at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah, right.
I will tell you, I have had Lou Malnati's. It's the one that I had.
Yeah.
I get the impression that Giordano's is maybe the better of the two.
Giordano's feels, and from what I've been told, is more like a traditional chain,
Yeah.
but one that sort of retains its local flavor.
Yeah.
You know, when they bring it out, they make a big deal. You got the spatula. They make a big deal of doing the cheese pull, where you stick the spatula under the slice and you lift it up as high as you can, so that the cheese stretches as
Yes.
far as it possibly can, and so.
What a visual.
And because I've never had a Chicago deep dish, it was a little. I didn't know what to expect in terms of like what was inside. Because when you look this up on like Google, we're getting some.
Yeah, sorry. That's me.
Buzz there.
I'm sorry. I'm hungry.
You're looking at pizzas right now.
Yeah, yes. All you see is like a bowl with sauce on the surface.
Right.
So like
Yeah,
I didn't,
you have no idea what's going on down there.
Right. So what I didn't realize was like there's like a layer of sauce on top. There's a whole shitload of melted cheese underneath that.
Fucking ton.
And
if
we-
you watch them make it, it's kind of ridiculous.
Oh, I bet. We were seated with a view of the kitchen. I had my back to it, but Aubrey and her friend were looking right at it. I was watching the TV behind them, which was just men's beach volleyball, which is just
Riveting.
tennis for guys who peaked in high school.
Yeah, right.
And
Damn, that's a hot take.
but I was surprised. We got ours with bacon and pepperoni. The bacon was on top, like in the sauce, and then the pepperoni was under the cheese, between the cheese and the crust.
You are making me hungry now.
I know. Oh my god. I'm fully willing to admit that maybe my perception of this was colored by the fact that this was maybe one of the best, if not the best, vacations I've ever taken in my life.
Oh, it will probably be among your best for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah,
but,
same.
But I feel safe in saying that Giordano's is one of the best pizzas I've ever had. My favorite still goes to Uptown locally.
Sure.
choice.
Uptown Pizza is the fucking truth. But Giordano's is so good. If you ever find yourselves in Chicago, eat a Giordano's pizza.
Can we make a commitment here that when Giordano's comes close enough to us that we can go
Yes,
there?
absolutely.
We will go there.
I've never in
will
my
go.
life had authentic deep
you,
dish.
you know what? Maybe we'll go.
gonna love it. You're
Maybe-
gonna love it.
Maybe we'll go. We'll eat it. We'll come back and we'll do a podcast.
That's
right
a great
after that.
idea.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
We'll take a Tuesday off and do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Sounds incredible.
I will keep mine brief as well for the sake of brevity. I've said that 5 times today.
Keep it brief for brevity's sake.
I am going to deviate from the standard,
Oh, you deviant, you.
and I usually recommend like music.
Deviated
Typically,
prevert.
you deviated prevert.
Revert.
I'm going to recommend a video game. I'm taking a page out of old Slammykins
yeah,
book this
right.
week. I'm going to
Video
recommend
games.
Bradio games. I'm going to recommend
Radio
that
games.
if you get, I'm going to recommend that if you have the ways and means to go out and play Max Payne 3, which is very good. And it,
Also on sale right now, right?
yes.
Yeah, for I don't know how many more hours. I
Yeah, a
think the
couple
sale
hours
ends today.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think at
no.
2
The
a.m.
9th. Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. Max Payne 3, even if you don't get it on Steam, you can still go to your local GameStop, get it for Xbox 360, play it on your Xbox One. You probably can't do that on PlayStation, you idiots. So just buy it on the PlayStation Store for way too much money.
No, I made sure to pick it up on Steam. I have it on Steam.
but
I haven't
yeah.
played it yet.
It is really fun. And I remember like at the time, a lot of critics were like, it's just okay. But like, it's one of those things where like the audience score definitely outweighs what the critics
Oh
said.
yeah, everything the critics say is just okay is
Yeah.
exactly what the general public wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is a general public. It is
General
a
public?
very, very good, very, very rich noirsy in the style of the previous 2 Max Paynes. Super noirsy. Maybe a little bit more like an action movie type than what you'd see from the previous
Yeah,
2.
it's got some like mid 2000s flair to
Yeah.
it. Where
It sort of
it's
feels like what would it sort of feels like if like the earlier Max Payne was more like maybe Die Hard.
Yes.
Then it's more like Die Hard 4.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
This is Max Payne as directed by Michael Mann.
Correct. Yeah, it is super action oriented. Dude, slow motion bullet time effects. Bullet camera, just like in the Sniper series where the camera follows the bullet.
Yeah,
And you get to
yeah.
watch it fucking go through the guy that you kill.
That's so fucking cool.
Super challenging in the best possible way. I was telling you, Dave, there's like parts of this game that are very tough, but the developers are aware of that. And if you keep dying repeatedly at the same spot, they will do things to not lower the difficulty outwardly for what you're doing, but they will give you buffs to make it easier for you.
Flexible checkpoints.
Flexible,
Yeah.
flexible checkpoints. Like if you keep dying at one spot, they'll do things like fix your health and make it so that you don't have any damage.
Yeah.
And if you're still dying, they'll do things like add painkillers, which is how you heal yourself, or like refill
Yeah.
your bullet time meter, which is how you pull off those 6 slow motion kills.
Yeah, getting auto saved with 10% health is absolute bullshit.
Correct.
And I'm glad that they recognize that.
They did.
On some level, it's like the good guy version of rubber banding.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, well, we fucked up a bit. Just like take some buffs. Just
Correct.
Make
correct.
it through this.
Yeah, just to and it's really, it's really good. It's features one of my favorite. I forgot all about it. Features one of my favorite levels in video games ever, which is a deal gone wrong, a money exchange gone wrong in a giant Sao Paulo, Brazil soccer stadium, and it turns into a fabulous gunfight all the way through the entire stadium.
Nice.
Like you get to go up the elevators, you end up on the top part of the stadium, and you fight your way around part of it, and then drop down to the back inner workings, and then you make your way back outside, and you basically circuit this entire stadium, chasing a bag of money. And it features some very serious challenge, but there's nothing more satisfying than pulling off that last kill. The last kill in a main section always gives you a super cool
yeah.
slow motion kill. Fucking rad.
They used to do that all the way back to the first Max
They
Payne.
did, yeah,
It's like when that final kill, we get that slow mo kill.
Except now it's in HD and it looks super good. So play Max Payne 3. It's worth the extra. It did not cost me that much money. It was super worth it to play that game again.
Cool.
I loved it.
God, I want to play that.
It's
now.
good. It's very good.
Is the second one good?
Second one's good. Second one's short, but it is good.
Okay, because I only ever played the first one, and I bought that on PC CD-ROM, and I will tell you, I have the mouse pad out there to prove
Yeah,
it.
right.
Because it came with the mouse
Max Payne. I
pad.
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it.
Yeah.
Play it. It's Max Payne 3, super good. I would recommend a gamepad.
Yeah.
It's okay on mouse and keyboards, but it feels much more fluid on a gamepad.
That's interesting because the targeting felt really good for the first one with the PC.
The first one's essentially a PC mod.
Correct.
It's essentially, it was made essentially as a mod of some other PC engine, but
sounds right.
Is meant to feel okay on a PC and mouse.
This one, the auto aim is your best friend, and you can't do that on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
So you really want to have that there because they
Unless
want.
you're a fucking pro like me.
Correct. Yeah,
MLG.
you want that extra ease because, like I said, there are parts of this game that are fucking tough.
Yeah.
So you just want to be ready for that.
Nice.
What did we learn, if anything, gentlemen? I know we don't have a ton because this was super.
When in doubt, you can live off your huge penis.
I wrote, come on down to the park and shit.
The stop and plop.
I learned that farts on microphone are never not funny.
They're really funny.
They're always funny.
They're incredibly funny.
Shits on microphone, not super great though. Almost
Funny in retrospect.
Yes.
I've shit on the microphone before and it was not well received.
No. I wrote that we have another Hall of Fame fart in the bank. In
Yes,
that
we
same
do.
vein.
Yes.
I learned, and this is like not a joke, but just there's a really good point to be made about the fact that bowling is pretty straightforward as far as like there's no calls, there's no replays,
Yeah.
there's
Right.
no was someone across. I mean, I guess there might be was someone across the line,
Over the line.
but it doesn't seem to happen that often.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Corky, you were over the line.
Yeah.
and when it does, it's like indisputable. I'm sure. So like that's
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. I wrote down, he's got two of them.
Two of them. Funny
Two
thing
of
about Alan Tudyk. Two of them.
of 'em.
I in Dave's argument, I wrote bowling kicks way more ass than I ever gave it credit for.
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
Do we have anything else? I have one more on here.
I don't know. I think if one more thing I learned, I think, is that what it means to be good music is way more complicated than I thought it was. But also, it's one of those things you feel in your gut,
Yeah.
and I think that that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Completely out of that vein, the last thing I learned is that usually when a kid talks about incest, it's with a detective.
Usually, with a detective.
Good heavens.
I can only think of like Charlie Kelly. in
Yeah.
It's Always Sunny pointing on the doll with
Yeah.
his whole family around. Yeesh. Well, anyway,
On that note,
this was a great idea, Chris.
Good. I'm glad everybody liked it.
I want to thank you for coming up with this.
Absolutely.
It was a little bit, just a tiny bit more work than normal, but it worked out really well.
Yeah, I figured it was good. I figured it was going to be good, and it ended up exceeding my expectations.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
really great. So,
this is good shit.
yeah, we're going to do it again. So,
Yes,
yeah.
we will.
This
Three
is a-
dudes debate.
Three dudes debate. This
Three dudes mass debate.
The three dudes mass debate.
I
Yes.
mean, how many times do we have to tell y'all? We're going to mass debate as much as possible.
And then have a beer and go to bed.
That's right.
Which I think it's about time for now.
Yes.
So, thank you for listening. We will see you hopefully in 2 weeks with another episode of the Three Dude Cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Talk to you later. Listen again. We love you.
Bye-bye.
XOXO. Bye-bye.
Bye. 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 Bye.